This book is called The Art of Gathering Qi. When he turned to the last page, in an extremely inconspicuous corner, signed the words, Li Qingren. This Qi gathering Ju. This is the most basic, most popular, and best quality entry-level Qi gathering method of Daqin Empire. This Qi gathering art is like an introductory Qi gathering Kung Fu of Dagon Empire's textbook level. Although there are tens of thousands of Qi gathering techniques in the Dagon Empire, the status of this Qi gathering Ju cannot be shaken. Going down to the small sects and going up to the Holy Land, the Qi gathering Kung Fu method used by many disciples for the first time is basically this Qi gathering Ju. Because this Qi gathering Ju is very basic, very simple, with a kind of avenue to simplicity, leaving aside the cumbersome steps, in the simplest and most direct way, it will teach you how to perceive the aura in the world and how to introduce it into yourself. Dan Tien. Therefore, even a top holy place like Taiyi Holy Land has the Qi gathering method. It is said that the emergence of this Qi gathering art has played a key role in the historical development of the entire Daqin Empire, and even affected a certain amount of luck in a continent. Why do you say the whole continent? Because this Qi gathering art is not only spread in the Dagon Empire, but also spread very widely in the entire continent. When this Qi gathering art first appeared, it was directly circulated among the imperial sects and spread widely. This has led to many monks having the opportunity to practice Qi. Invisibly, it also gave countless people the opportunity to practice Taoism. Because, many people have just started to learn about cultivating immortals, and they cannot afford those expensive Qi gathering exercises. For example, in a village, if an ordinary mortal wants to buy a book on Qi gathering Kung Fu, the entire village may not be able to afford it with the help of all their families. However, the emergence of Qi gathering art has changed this situation. Because it's cheap. For example, other Qi gathering exercises require an ordinary person to spend 3 lifetimes without food or drink before they can afford them. However, this Qi gathering Ju only needs to be saved for 10 or 20 years to buy it. But not everyone is suitable for cultivating immortals. It's not that if you buy the Qi gathering technique, you can successfully gather Qi. Only with spiritual roots and the potential to cultivate immortality can you successfully gather Qi. Moreover, even if you have a certain potential for cultivating immortals, it will be very difficult if you have not joined a sect and have no master to guide you. Before the Qi gathering Ju appeared, some mortals spent their entire lives, accumulated several generations, and finally got a book of Qi gathering Kung Fu, only to find out that none of the descendants of the sect has spiritual roots and immortal resources. It became a great tragedy that lasted for generations. Because every mortal has a dream of cultivating immortals in his heart, and he wants to become a fairy that everyone admires and stands high above. Later, after Qi gathering appeared, father only needs to work hard for decades to get a copy of Ju Qi Ju, which he can try for his children and grandchildren. If it doesn't work, he should give up early, cut off his dream of cultivating immortality in Taoism, and accept that he is just a mortal fate as soon as possible. There is no need to continue for a few more generations to fight for an illusory dream of cultivating immortals. Therefore, the emergence of Qi gathering art has given more people the opportunity to cultivate immortality, because it is the closest to the Qi gathering art of those common mortals. Su Han was so surprised when he learned that The Ju of Gathering Qi was written by Li Qingren, and he also understood why he was so familiar with the 3 words, Li Qingren. It turned out that she was the author of Qi Ju Ju. It's not just Su Han. Yang Kai will feel familiar, as long as the monks who have been in contact with the Qi gathering art, they will be very familiar with the 3 words, Li Qingren. In fact, Su Han once gathered Qi, and he practiced this Qi gathering art. Even though this Qi gathering Ju is only a lower grade of Huang rank, its value and practicality far exceed this rank. From the current state of Su Han's strength, if you look back and read this Qi gathering art, again, you will feel astonishing and simple. The author who wrote this Qi gathering Ju has reached a level of proficiency in his understanding of cultivation and Taoism. And this Li Qingren is Li Yi's aunt. Li Yi is also a talent for Dharma, or some kind of broken talent for forgetting the Tao. The chaos of the ancient years, the beginning of forgetting. Combining these, Su Han feels that he has unknowingly come into contact with a mysterious bureau and a mysterious level. Who is Li Qingren? Where does she come from and what is her true identity? Su Han couldn't believe that an ant who was an ordinary person could write Qi gathering Ju, which can change the luck of the times. What kind of fate is Li Yi carrying? Brother Su, I used to rely on this Qi gathering Ju to successfully gather Qi. You know that in our time, I respectfully called Li Qingren as Master Li Dao. Yang Kai recalled some of the past events, a little embarrassed. Whether in the past, or now, or in the future. Li Qingren, Master Li Dao, This name will last for a long time, and it will always exist with the passage of time. No matter in the past, present, or future, there must be many people who will come into contact with this qi gathering art. Unless there is a more basic, more civilian, and more practical method of gathering qi to replace the historical status of qi gathering. Obviously it is very difficult, because the qi gathering Ju seems to have existed for tens of thousands of years. In the past tens of thousands of years, many qi gathering exercises have appeared, but none of them can really replace the qi gathering formula. By the way, Brother Su, what are you doing asking Master Li Dao? Yang Kai asked suddenly. I also said to ask you about this, Li Qingren. I heard people say, Li Qingren is from Taiyi Holy Land? Su Han said with a smile. Ha ha ha, brother, you think highly of me. Who is Master Li Dao? No one has ever seen her, and no one even knows if she is a man or a woman. How could I know the whereabouts of Master Li Dao? I have heard of the saying that Master Li Dao is a monk from the Taiyi Holy Land, but I have no way of verifying it, so I don't know whether it is true or not. Because it's only been a few hundred years since I came to Taiyi Holy Land. As for Master Li Dao, who was famous all over the world tens of thousands of years ago, how could I know? Yang Kai also smiled. The two also sipped tea and chatted for a while before Su Han left. Because he already got the answer he wanted. However, in Su Han's mind, a bigger question also arose. Since Li Yi's aunt is the author of The Art of Gathering Qi, logically speaking, no one knows how to gather qi better than her. However, the difficulty Li Yi has encountered recently is that she cannot gather energy. This weird and extreme connection. Because generally speaking, these recent encounters are problems that the investee itself cannot solve. But Su Han didn't think much of it, regardless of its. Let's help Li Yi gather energy first, and after making a successful investment, let's see what the situation is like. This time, Su Han always went to Chuan Dao Peak to attend lectures. In fact, he was looking for investment seedlings. Hard work pays off. These few days there have been several prestigious elders giving lectures, attracting many middle and upper class disciples to attend the lectures. Su Han has also successfully invested in 2 disciples who are weak in gold, and 2 disciples who are talented in blue. It has to be a gold talent, only invested in 2, Su Han has already touched the threshold of breakthrough. Add 2 or 3 deep blues, or another light gold, and he will be able to break through to the 8th level of the Shattered Realm. It had to be the Holy Land of Taiyi. Otherwise, if you were in the outside world, how could you meet so many talented disciples? However, during this time, he could see Li Yi to attend classes every day. No matter which elder, as long as there is a preaching class, she will not be absent. However, every time Su Han saw her, she didn't change much, not even the slightest aura appeared in her dantian. Logically speaking, after such a long time, no matter how bad the talent is, even a yellow talent, or even a white talent, there should be a trace of spiritual power in his body. What's more, Li Yi is still talented in law, which is completely unreasonable. According to the development of Qing Qingyu, at least they can gather qi overnight, and they can gather 7 or 8 layers of qi in a few days. Because gathering qi requires comprehending the spiritual energy in the world and absorbing the spiritual energy into the dantian. When the spiritual energy is gathered to a certain level, the dantian will be successfully opened and enter the gas gathering environment. Feel spiritual power, absorb spiritual power, and gather qi in dantian. These 3 steps, Su Dian suspected that Ji Yi did not have the sense of the first step. Because Su Han needs to come to look for investment, Su Han will come to basically every class. Every time Li Yi comes, she will sit next to Su Han. Gradually, the relationship between the two became more familiar. After this period of observation, Su is also ready to help her gather qi. Because with Su Han's strength, just waving his hand can help her gather qi. This is the end of today's sermon, and you can leave on your own. Following the words of the elders on the stage, the disciples in the hall also left one after another. Li Yi also stopped the pen in her hand and closed the thick notebook. In every class, she would write down every word the elder lecturer said. She understands the principle of God rewards hard work. Stupid birds fly first. She has to work 10 times and 100 times before she can become someone else. Brother Su, that. Are you free? At this time, Li Yi tentatively asked Su Han not far away. Su Han nodded. I have a few questions about cultivation, can you help me solve them? Li Yi picked up the notebook and smiled with 2 small dimples, delicate and cute. Well, you. Through questioning, Su Han also discovered Li Yi's strong understanding. She can understand almost everything, and even after Su Han has said half a sentence, she can add the rest, and her understanding and perception are almost the same as Su Han's. You know, Su Han explained it from the perspective of the broken realm. And Li Yi is just a mortal who hasn't gathered energy yet, she can see some issues very, very clearly, and even get her own insights. From this point, we can see the potential of her Fashong talent. But, this is very strange, why can't she gather qi? Thank you senior brother Su, I think. You speak better than the elders. Li Yi said with a surprised face. She has also listened to the class for so long, and she feels that every word that senior brother Su said contains deep meaning, hits the nail on the head, and it is much better than the elder's speech, completely a level higher. Brother Su, you can become a lecturer now, you are amazing. Li Yi looked adoring. During this time, the more she got in touch with senior brother Su, the more she felt that he was unfathomable and had an invisible sense of mystery. I'm just a little disciple. Su Han smiled and waved his hand. However, to be honest, with Su Han's understanding of Taoism, he can teach the entire Tai Holy Land a lesson. Brother Su, you should go back soon. I can find my way, so I will delay your time. On this day, Su Han sent Li Yi to Luoxia Peak, the gate of her cave. Li Yi feels that she has troubled senior brother Su with many things recently, and she herself feels a little embarrassed. I can help you gather qi. Su Han said it straight to the point. Hearing this, Li Yi was taken aback for a moment, then immediately waved her hands and said, No, 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 brother Su, you have helped me a lot. I will work hard on my own to gather energy as soon as possible. The words fell. Su Han said, gathering qi is not a practice with a head covered, it needs someone to guide you, you need a guide. I think your understanding of gathering qi is enough. Song missed 10 opportunities. I can help you achieve this opportunity. Finished. Su Han didn't give Li Yi a chance to refuse, and spiritual power instantly enveloped Li Yi's body. Suddenly, his spiritual power came to Li Yi's dantian. Next second, he was going to directly help Li Yi gather spiritual energy and help her successfully gather energy. But, when his consciousness came to Li Yi's dantian, everyone was stunned. This is Li Yi's dantian, egg. Whether it is a mortal or a monk, in fact, there is also a dantian, and the dantian of a mortal is just a common organ of the internal organs. The dantian of a monk is a hub for gathering spiritual energy. However, Li Yi has no dantian, in fact, it is not too unusual to have no dantian. Without dantian, it means that there is no opportunity to practice in this life. But, Li Yi's dantian is not no dantian. It's the kind of nothingness and emptiness, chaos, nothing can be seen. I don't know if it is Su Han's illusion, but there is a sense of chaos and depth. As Su Han's consciousness continues to explore, he discovered even more outrageous things. Li Yi's dantian is empty. Whether it is a mortal or a monk, in fact, there is also a dantian, and the dantian of a mortal is just a common organ of the internal organs. The dantian of a monk is a hub for gathering spiritual energy. But, Li Yi doesn't have a dantian, but in fact, it is not too unusual to have no dantian. Without dantian, it means that there is no opportunity to practice in this life. But, Li Yi's dantian is not no dantian. It's the kind of nothingness and emptiness, chaos, nothing can be seen. I don't know if it is Su Han's illusion, but there is a sense of chaos and depth. As Su Han's consciousness continued to explore, he discovered even more outrageous things. He entered a different dimension. Looking at this extremely empty, chaotic, dark and empty space, Li Han was stunned. Because, this is the Dantian world. This is not the Dantian space, but the Dantian world. This Dantian world is very large and empty, and it can't be seen at a glance. In terms of size alone, it is even bigger than Su Han's Dantian world. The only difference between her Dantian world and Su Han's Dantian world is that in Li Yi's Dantian world, there is an empty space, and there is nothing in it. But Su Han's Dantian world is different. Its Dantian world has beautiful mountains and clear waters, lingering fairy charm, and there is a finale such as the delimiting tree. And Li Yi is just an empty shell. However, after some inquiring, he could feel that this space is still broken. This is a half-broken Dantian world. One must know that even the Dantian space of the Shanshan realm and Zifu realm is only about the size of 10 small mountain peaks. However, Li Yi's Dantian world can no longer be described by how many mountains it can accommodate. Like Su Han, her Dantian space has broken away from the category of space, and has risen to the world. Li Yi is just a mortal. No matter how outrageous and dazzling her fate is, it can't change the fact that she has no cultivation, no aura in her body, and is just a mortal. This has somewhat touched Su Han's knowledge blind spot. He has invested for so many years, and has seen many strange situations. No matter how weird the situation is, he has seen it. But Li Yi's situation was the first time he saw it, it was outrageous. Could it be that this is why she has been unable to gather qi? Think about it carefully, it seems to be the same. Because the essence of qi gathering is to perceive the aura in the world, absorb the aura of the world into the dantian, and after reaching a certain threshold, you will successfully enter the qi gathering state. However, Li Yi's dantian world is so huge, how much spiritual energy does it need to absorb to fill it up? If Li Yi was allowed to realize and practice slowly, it would be impossible for thousands of years or even tens of thousands of people to gather energy. Even if Su Han directly instilled her own spiritual power into her dantian world, she didn't know how long it would take. At the very least, it will take a month, because indoctrination also needs a gradual process, and she can't bear it when it is suddenly filled at once. A month's time is fine. Su Han is totally worth the effort for this talent. Because his dantian world has an endless source of spiritual power, and it doesn't consume him at all, what he consumes is only time, and the most important thing Su Sai lacks is time. Immediately, Su Han is ready to try. He was running exercises, instilling his spiritual power into her dantian world king. After a few breaths, he also discovered something strange. His spiritual power disappeared very quickly after entering Li Yi's dantian world. It's the kind that disappears out of thin air, like a stone falling into an endless abyss. With the huge amount of spiritual power infused by Su Han, it is completely impossible not to find even a trace of spiritual power. At this moment, Su Han felt a little embarrassed, and also a little confused. What exactly is going on? Su Han came to this Taiyi holy land. I ran into two uninvestable targets in a row. One is Jinyi Iron Eater, and the other is Li Yi. However, the Jinyi Iron Eater was completely unable to erase the curse of blood in its body because of its lack of strength. This is a problem of ability. However, Li Yi and Su Han didn't know if it was a problem of ability. Completely at a loss what to do, can't even find a chance to try. To help a mortal gather qi, for Su Han, it is a matter of mentality. But when it comes to Li Yi, there is no way. At this time, Su Han remembered Li Yi's aunt, Li Qingren. Li Qingren, who has been famous for tens of thousands of years, is an aunt who is less than 20 years old. From the timeline, this is completely unreasonable. Li Qingren wrote the most amazing and brilliant qi gathering technique on the mainland, but her niece has problems with qi gathering. There is a sense of destiny. In this way, Su Han tried several times. All ended in failure. In the end, I had no choice but to give up first. Immediately, he withdrew his breath. Su Han was a little embarrassed. He said to help her gather qi, but it still failed. But Li Yi seemed to have expected this result. Brother Su, thank you for helping me so much. Actually, I know my situation best. My father once invited many immortal masters to help me gather qi, but all of them failed in the end. Also, those immortal masters who helped me all went crazy in the end. So, I'm afraid that it will affect my senior brother. That's why when she heard that Su Han was going to help her gather qi, she suddenly became emotional, because she was afraid of affecting senior brother Su. At this time, Li Yi suddenly thought of something. He continued. I remember, when I asked my aunt to teach me how to cultivate immortals. She told me, she says, one day, you will become a fairy. Before that, you don't have to do anything, just wait for that day to come. Hearing Li Yi's words, Su Han also fell into deep thought. This sentence seems to make sense. Because Li Yi's dantian world is very strange, no matter how much aura he condenses, it cannot be preserved, even if he is empowered by external force, it cannot be changed. This means that it is impossible for Li Yi to gather energy in this life. However, her aunt, that Li Qingren, Master Li Dao said on to wait for the time to come back. In other words, on a certain day, Li Yi will successfully gather qi by herself. So, what was the occasion? Su Han also wants to know. Brother Su, come with me. Li Yi's words brought Su Han's thoughts back to reality. After following her into the cave, Li Yi walked to her bed, and took out a beautiful wooden brocade box under her pillow. She seemed to have made a major decision in her heart, and she took the brocade box and walked in front of Su Han. Passed this brocade box to Su Han. Brother Su, you have helped me a lot during this time, this is my gift to you. Heard the words. Su Han froze for a moment, then took the brocade box. Slowly opening the brocade box, when he saw the contents of the brocade box, he was stunned. Inside the brocade box contains a blade. What shocked Su Han was not this blade, but this blade, which he had seen before. At this time, he waved his hand, and a Yi Ming pearl appeared in the palm of his hand. Inside the Yi Ming pearl, a leaf is sealed. This bead is similar to a Yi Ming bead. After meeting Bai Li and helping it, he found this Yi Ming bead from the cold pool and gave it to Su Han. After Su Han got the Yi Ming pearl, he went back and studied it for a long time, but he didn't find anything in the end. He also used the Eye of the Sky to investigate. But according to the information given by the system, this Yi Ming pearl is called Jiaolong pearl. It is also very useful. Using this Dragon Ball can suppress the breath and blood of the Dragon Clan, and play an overwhelming role in the battle. However, Su Han has no place to use this Dragon Ball. Because it is impossible for him to find a dragon to fight, right? As for the leaves inside the Flood Dragon Ball, Su Han thought it was part of the Flood Dragon Ball, so he didn't study it carefully, so he just ignored it. However, the leaf that Li Yi took out is very similar to the leaf inside the Dragon Ball. The leaves inside the Jiaolong pearl are the common emerald green, but the leaf Li Yi gave is blue-blue. At this time, Su Han thought about it. The textual information about this Zon blue leaf appeared in Su Han's mind. Name: Leaf of Time. Introduction. The faint years are eternal, and the leaf of time contains the power of time. After absorbing it, it can increase the lifespan of time. A complete leaf of time contains the power of 50,000 years. The power of the remaining years, 9,000 years. Source: from the tree of time that grows in the long river of time. After reading, Su Han didn't come back to his senses for a long time, and he was stunned for a long time. Senior brother Su, what's wrong with you? Seeing senior brother Su stunned in place, Li Yi also waved her hand, and her voice brought Su Han's thoughts back to reality. Where did you come from? Su Han asked Li Yi. How could Li Yi have such an outrageous and advanced thing? The leaves of time grow on the tree of time, and the tree of time grows in the long river of time. What kind of trees of time and rivers of time are these things that Su Han has never heard of? They are conceptual things, illusory, and no one knows whether they really exist. And such an illusory thing is actually in the hands of a mortal? Is this reasonable? I also understand the role of Leaf of Years. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is a Shouyuan memory, from which years and years of life can be extracted and used. Moreover, as long as it is a living being with a lifespan, it can use this leaf of time. For example, if a mortal obtains a completely unused leaf of time, and finds out how to use it, he can live for 50,000 years. What is the concept of 50,000 years? 50,000 years can already go through several eras. The leaf of time that Li Yi gave her has already been used 41,000. My aunt gave it to me. Li Yi didn't hide anything, and said with a smile. In fact, Su Han also guessed that only that Taoist Li could come into contact with this kind of thing. After seeing this thing, Su Han became even more curious about Li Qingren's identity. What kind of identity and cultivation is she in order to have such a thing? He could even give this heaven-defying thing directly to his mortal niece. No kidding, if this thing gets out, let alone the Daqin Empire, the entire Lingyuan continent will set off a bloodbath. Shouyuan, no matter what level of cultivation it is, has a fatal absorption. So for this heaven-defying thing that can directly increase the lifespan of tens of thousands of years, it is hard to imagine how much sensation it will cause. Obviously, Li Yi still doesn't know the preciousness of this thing. In fact, Han is not the kind of person who takes advantage of small things. Moreover, this leaf of years only has a lifespan of 9,000 years, and sometimes I can invest in my lifespan, so this thing has a greater effect on Li Yi. Because her situation is special, and she doesn't know how to gather qi, it may take a huge amount of time, it may be hundreds or thousands of years. Li Yi is just a mortal body, with a lifespan of more than 100 years. So, Su Han still decided to return this thing to her. Do you know what this thing does? Su Han looked at Li Yi and asked. I know. My aunt told me that it would allow me to live for a long time. Because my aunt told me that it will take a long time for her to come back, and asked me to wait for her. Li Yi said with a smile. Hearing this, Su Han was also stunned, and then continued. Then you have to wait for your aunt. Why did you give it to me? The words fell. Li Yi walked out from her neck and took out a leaf pendant, which emitted a faint blue light. After Su Han checked with the Eye of the Sky. It is a complete leaf of time, with a full 50,000 years left. In other words, from now on, Li Yi can live for 50,000 years? I have one more, and I have two. My aunt told me that I can't give this piece to anyone. So, I will give you another piece. Li Yi doesn't know what leaf of time is. She only knows that with this thing, she can live longer, for a long, long time. Since you know how valuable this thing is, you gave it to me so easily. The gift is too heavy. You should take it back. With that said, Su Han put away the brocade box and handed it to Li Yi. Seeing this, Li Yi immediately waved her hand and said, "No, no, Senior Brother Su, you have helped me a lot recently. Besides, I don't have any presents to repay you, but what you might appreciate is this thing. I hope Senior Brother Su will definitely accept it, otherwise, I won't even dare to talk to you, Senior Brother." In fact, Li Yi only spoke half of what was in her heart. The other half is hidden in my heart. My aunt told her that if she gets married in the future and meets someone she can truly entrust to her life, she can give another leaf to the person closest to her, which can be her husband or her child. In this way, they can accompany you for a long time, and you will not be so lonely. Li Yi has no concept of thousands of years or tens of thousands of years. She didn't know how long Senior Brother Su could live. In order to allow Senior Brother Su to live longer, Li Yi gave him this thing. In fact, this may also be a kind of affection, which Li Yi herself does not understand. However, her purpose is also very simple, that is, if this thing must be given away, she only wants to give it to Senior Brother Su. Now that we've talked about it, Su Han can't return it. After putting it away, he said, "If you have any questions about cultivation in the future, you can ask me directly." In fact, these words are also comforting Ji Yi. Because he knew that Li Yi might not be able to break through to the Qi gathering realm in her whole life, and she would never be able to become the fairy in her heart. I am helpless, let her practice by herself, the hope is too slim, and the slim can be ignored. After saying that, Li Yi was stunned for a moment, a look of confusion flashed in her eyes. My parents passed away a few years ago. I am the only one left in this world, my aunt. She says, when she comes back, I can become a real fairy. Hear this. Su Han frowned. The matter of Li Yi's inability to gather energy seemed to have a turning point. Her aunt asked Li Yi to wait for her, and gave Li Yi the leaf of years back, which also indicates that when the two of them meet one day in the future, there may be an opportunity, maybe. Maybe, the day the two of them met was also the time when Li Yi stepped into a tense state. According to Su Han's speculation, if Li Yi successfully stepped into Qi gathering, with her Dantian world, it would definitely not be as simple as entering the Qi gathering realm. It is possible to break through several realms in a row, and Su Han does not know exactly what realm he can reach. Maybe, this is her destiny. Or maybe, this is the meaning of broken fate. I don't know, and Su Han doesn't want to delve into it. Let time tell the answer. After Su Han returned to his cave, he took out the leaf of years that Li Yi gave him, and then produced the Flood Dragon Ball. At this time, he used his sky eyes to designate the leaf inside the Dragon Pearl that looked very similar to the Leaf of Time for investigation. Next second, the textual information about the leaves in the Jiaolongzu appeared word by word in Su Han's mind. Name. Leaf of the World. Introduction. This thing is also called mustard leaf. One flower is one world, one leaf is one world, and it contains complete world laws, which can be developed and integrated. Source. From Mother Tree of the World. After reading it, Su Mei also took a deep breath. Leaf of the World. Leaf of mustard seed. The leaves of the years represent time, and the leaves of the world represent space. No wonder there are some similarities. Time and space are originally one, collectively referred to as time and space. When space has time, life can be extended, and when time has space, life can be defined. I don't know if it's a coincidence or a hidden arrangement. When I got the leaf of years inexplicably, I realized that I had already got the leaf of world. There is a very strange feeling. Maybe, this is the charm of fate? Everything came so just right. The leaf of the world, to Su Han, is just a mustard world. And he already has a Dantian world, which is a bit tasteless for Su Han. For Su Han, the leaf of years is even more useless, because his investment can increase his lifespan. He holds the leaf of the world in his left hand and the prosperity of the years in his right hand. Suddenly, he can feel that the two things seem to be attracting each other. Next second. After he slowly approached the two blades, it was like two magnets approaching, creating a great attraction. At this time, Su Han had a bold idea in his heart. What will happen after merging the leaf of the world in the leaf of time? Thinking of this, Su Han didn't hesitate for a moment, and moved the two blades closer. At the moment of contact, the two leaves are fused into one leaf. The appearance of the leaves has not changed, but the color has changed to black. He could clearly feel that this piece of black leaf contained a very high law energy. Although it was very small, it exuded a palpitating aura. Su Han knows that this is the calendar of time and space. Even Su Han, he didn't dare to contact this ray of space-time power rashly, because although it was only a small part, but because that level was too high, he couldn't try it at will. In this way, Su Han studied carefully all night, but found nothing. However, it is not without the slightest gain. and I still have a little more perception and understanding of time and space. For the rest of the time, Su Han was still the same as usual. If you have nothing to do, go to Chuan Dao Peak to attend lectures, and then find good disciples and seedlings. It's only been a few short months. Among the disciples of Taiyi Holy Land, Su Han also gained a lot of fame and prestige. You must know that all the disciples of Taiyi Holy Land are disciples of Tianzhou, and they are basically dissatisfied with each other. However, the appearance of Su Han completely broke the status quo. At present, dozens of disciples from Taiyi Holy Land have become Su Han's little followers. Of course, in order to better invest in breakthroughs, Su Han lifted a little bit of the seal, and the cultivation level shown is the third level of the Purple Mansion. With such a cultivation level, among the disciples of the Taiyi Holy Land, it can only be ranked at the upper level. Among the disciples of the Taiyi Holy Land, the great power of the Zifu who can walk sideways in the Daqin Empire can only be barely above the middle. The gap is not too obvious. Moreover, after these months of investment, Su Han's success is a matter of course, and he is now off the rails. Such a terrifying speed of practice, even if it is said, no one will believe it. This is the Broken Realm. In the Broken Realm, it is difficult to advance to a small realm, but here with Su Han, you can break through in a few months. Of course, it has to be that the disciples of Taiyi Holy Land are of excellent quality. There are only 300 disciples in Taiyi Holy Land. Among them, 1/10 of the disciples have been invested and helped by Su Han. Let Su Han develop for a year or two, and all the disciples in Taiyi Holy Land will become Su Han's people. History is always surprisingly similar. When Su Han first went to Fulong City, he just wanted to invest, but after investing, the residents of Fulong City became Su Han's people, and became the city lord of Fulong City in a daze. The same goes for coming to Taiyi Holy Land. In just 1.5 years, all the deacons in the Holy Land have received investment from Su Han and owe Su Han a lot of favor. As long as Su Han says a word, they can do anything for Su Han. Now, Su Han's Devil's Claw has sneaked into the disciples of the Taiyi Holy Land. After a while, it is estimated that all the disciples of the Holy Land will be rebelled by Su Han. After all, with a place as big as Fulong City, Su Han could invest in it as his own back garden. There are only so few people in this Taiyi Holy Land that can withstand Su Han's ferocious investment. In fact, choosing to come to Taiyi Holy Land is the right choice. Hey, since stepping into the Broken Realm, those white luck and yellow luck have no effect on Su Han, they are just a drop in the bucket. At the very least, it has to be blue luck to have any effect. Su Han estimated that after eating the cake of the Holy Land of Taiyi and wiping it off, he would definitely be able to step into the realm of the gods. Seemingly broken Juzong and Kagami Ichijong, only 2 small realms away. However, these 2 small realms will be 2 insurmountable scourges. Because, in the Daqin Empire, it seems that there has never been a supreme being in the Divine Proclamation realm. The highest seems to be the Broken Realm. Moreover, the supreme power of the Shattered Realm may only be those few people standing at the top of the pyramid. Therefore, once Su Yan stepped into the Shenyuan realm, no matter what Dagon, Dayu, or Taiyi Holy Land, they couldn't pose any threat to Su Han. Of course, Su Han knows that the Shenyuan realm is not truly invincible. The Lingyuan continent is very large and sky-high. As far as the Sky Clan, Da Lu Yun family, Taiyi Holy Kingdom, and so on that Su Han has come into contact with so far, the strength shown must be above Shenyuan. This day, Taiyi Holy Land, the main front located in the center, is called Tianyi Peak. Inside Tianyi Peak, in a fairy palace, a white-haired old man wandered back and forth in the hall with his hands behind his back. Third Elder, are you looking for me? At this time, a woman in a long skirt and green clothes walked into the hall gracefully and came before the white-haired old man. Xiao Xiao, how is Xiao Zhu doing recently? The white-haired old man, named Han Yuan, is the 3rd elder of the Taiyi Holy Land, and his cultivation has reached the realm of shattering void perfection. Xiao Zhu's appetite has recovered a lot recently, and he should have returned to normal. Marong Xiaoxiao was basically at Shengye Peak during this time. That's good. Maybe in about 3 or 4 days, people from the Holy Kingdom came. Talking about the Holy Kingdom, Han Yuan was inexplicably nervous, because the Taiyi Holy Land is just a branch of the Holy Kingdom, and he also got the news that the Holy Kingdom came this time with a very high status. Could it be that you came to pick up Xiao Zhu back? Marong Xiaoxiao saw Han Yuan's nervousness and asked aloud. It should be. Fortunately, Xiao Zhu has recovered his appetite recently. Otherwise, if the Holy Nation blames him, it will be difficult. Han Yuan said something. Because in the past few months, Xiao Zhu behaved abnormally. He didn't like the food he liked very much before, and he always faced the same direction in a daze, as if he was waiting for something. Fortunately, it returned to normal in the past month. Otherwise, if people from the Holy Kingdom came here and saw Shaozu like this, it would be difficult to explain. Because the Shaozu is not only the Shaozu in Taiyi Holy Land, even in the Holy Country, he is also the ancestor. Shao, you have to get ready too. When the time comes, we will go with the people from the Holy Kingdom and Shaozu. Saying that, Han Yuan took out a letter from gold from his cuff, and handed it to Murong Huhu. After Murong Xiao saw Jin Han, a gleam of splendor flashed in her beautiful eyes. Thank you, Third Elder, for completeness. Don't thank me, I'm just helping you to recommend it. You can go to the Holy Kingdom, you still depend on yourself. The Holy Nation is no better than ours. After you go, you have to keep a low profile, and don't be in the limelight if you can. With your talent, you will be taken seriously when you go to the Holy Nation. Han Yuan waved his hand and said, by the way, how is he? Han Yuan thought of something. Hearing this, Murong Hu was of course aware of who he was referring to. He hasn't been in the Holy Land recently, and he seems to have gone to the Endless Sea. I don't know exactly what he is doing. What is he doing in the Endless Sea? It's dangerous there. After hearing that he went to the Endless Sea, Han Yuan frowned. The he in Han Yuan's mouth is the true Holy Son. Although his status is not as high as that of Shaozu, he is also a candidate in the Holy Kingdom. If something unexpected happens in Taiyi Holy Land can't bear the anger of him. Don't worry, the third elder, the fifth elder followed, there shouldn't be any danger. Murong Xiao replied. That's good. We can ignore his affairs or try not to. As long as there is no danger to life. Han Yuan thought of something, and said to Murong Xiao, you call the fourth elder, the sixth elder, and the eighth elder to prepare for a meeting. This day, Su Han is going to Shengye Peak to take a look at that little guy. When he sneaked into Shengye Peak, he saw Murong Xiao. At this time, Su Han's eyes fell on the top of Murong Xiao's head, when he saw the color of her luck. His pupils shrank suddenly. Kindness. How so? Name. Murong Xiao luck. Concentrated purple, black luck, has the potential of a trace of Dharma talent. Age. 989 years old. Cultivation. Void-shattering 8th realm. Life evaluation. Born in Qingchu Shenshen, with the blood of Qingchu Tianyu, unparalleled talent, bearing the karma of Qingchu Shenshen, practicing Tinlin immortal art, can be transferred to the 9th life, and now is the 9th life. Recent encounter. In the near future, I will encounter a death calamity, and the hope of escape is less than 10%. After seeing her text message, he was also stunned. Because some time ago, when he checked with the eyes of the sky, Murong Xiao's recent encounter was 3 years later, and he would encounter a death calamity. However, things have changed now. It's not 3 years anymore. And the color of luck has changed. As long as the color of luck changes, it means that Murong Xiao is basically dead. Because the last time I checked with the sky eye, although Murong Xiao would also encounter death and the possibility of escaping was very low, at least the color of luck did not change, which meant that the danger could be saved. However, this time, the change in the color of her luck doomed her to death. At this time, Su Han was a little confused. Generally speaking, once there is black color luck, Su Han will give up investment work. Because no matter how much Su Han invests in helping, he can't change the death situation in the end. The only successful example is Stoneborn. In fact, it is already possible to give up Murong and be killed. However, she felt reluctant. After all, this was a strong purple luck, and there was still a chance to grow into the talent of Dharma. If you give up, it will be a loss. Is there a possibility? Su Han tried to save it once, to see if it can change. After all, there is also a successful example of stone descent, and Murong Xiao's black luck is not very strong. However, what surprised Su Han was, the system shows that Murong Xiao will be killed in the next few days, but Murong's empresses are basically in Taiyi Holy Land. Coupled with her cultivation of the void-shattering 8th stage, who can kill her in Taiyi Holy Land? This is too difficult. If you want to kill Murong Xiao without anyone noticing, only Su Han can do it. However, Su Han and Murong Xiao had no grievances, so there was no need for him to kill her. Could it be that after a few days, the entire Taiyi Holy Land will encounter catastrophe? However, today he also inquired about the luck of other monks in Taiyi Holy Land, but there was no black luck. Only Murong Xiao appeared with black luck. Therefore, the possibility of Taiyi Holy Land being wiped out was ruled out. So, what will happen to cause Murong Xiao's death? It made Su Han a little curious. After Murong Xiao came to Shengye Peak, as usual, she fed Jinyi Iron Beast, played with it and so on. However, apart from having a good appetite, the Iron Eater's interest is not very high. Marong Xiaoxiao also sighed faintly. Xiaozu is still a little melancholy compared to before. It just stared in a certain direction. Only Su Han knew that the Iron Eater was heading towards the day's direction, which was the place where Su Han lived, and it was also waiting for Su Han. After Marong Xiaoxiao left, Su Han also appeared on the Holy Cliff Peak. At this time, the little guy saw a familiar figure not far ahead. All of a sudden, the little guy sat up straight, his eyes widened, and the excitement was visible to the naked eye. It ran towards Su Han at once, came to Su Han's feet, circled around him, rolled and rubbed against Su Han's trouser legs. If Marong Xiaoxiao saw this scene, she would be extremely surprised. Because Xiaozu has never shown such a state of excitement to anyone, even if she has been with Xiaozu for so many years, she has never achieved such an intimate effect. Su Han waved his hand. In front of the little guy, a pile of purple tea fairy peach fruits appeared, there were hundreds of them. Smelling the familiar smell, the little guy got up from the ground all of a sudden, his eyes became cautious all of a sudden, and he almost fell to the ground. In fact, the reason why the little guy has a poor appetite is that the food given to him by the Tai Holy Land is not as delicious as what the owner gave him. It's like, after suddenly eating delicacies from mountains and seas, eating the usual food will feel hard to swallow. Today's Su Han has so many purple tea fairy peach fruits that he can't finish them. The Dantian world will provide Su Han with endless supplies every day, no matter how much the little guy eats, he can't finish it. Moreover, Su Han feeds the little guy, and the little guy's talent is to become stronger by eating food, and Su Han made a contract with it, and it will feed back to Su Han in turn. Therefore, feeding the little ones is equivalent to feeding yourself, and the feedback effect is many times better than eating by yourself. Su Han is the only person who can feed this purple tea fairy peach known as the Little Enlightenment Fruit, as jelly beans. Soon, the little guy ate all the more than 100 purple tea peaches. As expected of an iron-eating beast of the Jinyi beast clan, this is a small enlightenment fruit, even a monk in the void-shattering realm would only dare to recite one at a time. And this little guy, with the strength of the 4th level, can eat 100 at a time. Moreover, according to the talent of the little guy, the more he eats and the better he eats, the stronger he will become and the faster he can practice. From here, it can be seen that its talent is against the sky. If Su Han helps it erase the blood curse in its body and release all the talents of the little guy, Su Han himself can't imagine how much this little guy will grow up to. Su Han also intends to try again after he breaks through to the Shenyuan realm, to see if he can erase the blood curse. I'll see you again in a while. Before leaving, Su Han also told the little guy not to behave so abnormally. As usual, he should eat, drink, and bask in the sun. Because, for the time being, Yin Han couldn't reveal that he had contracted the little guy. From Marong Xiaoxiao's attitude towards the little guy, it can be seen that this little guy's status seems to be very high. This day, as usual, Han Yuan was writing calligraphy in his courtyard. This can be regarded as a little bit of his hobbies, which can be regarded as self-cultivation, and looking for that elusive breakthrough opportunity. Because the cultivation base has reached his level, if you want to go further, it is not an exaggeration to describe it as a fantasy. Simple practice can no longer make him improve, so he can only find another way to see if he can cultivate his state of mind and find a slight opportunity. At this time, the gate of the courtyard was suddenly knocked open. An old man with a scruffy beard rushed in recklessly. Han Yuan's hands trembled in fright, almost ruining several years of hard work. He put away his calligraphy and painting, put his hands behind his back, looked at the old man with a scruffy beard, and said angrily, "I said, Lao Yang, you are quite old, can you be more stable?" Yuan. Brother Yuan, something is wrong. Seeing Han Yuan's first words, the sloppy man started to shout. This voice frightened Han Yuan very much. What's up? This old man with a scruffy beard, named Yang Donglin, is the 6th elder of the Tai Holy Land, and his cultivation level is H at the 9th level of Shattering Void. At this moment, his expression is very shocked. The Holy Kingdom is coming, and they will arrive soon. Yang Donglin looked as if he was facing an enemy. I know, didn't I tell you earlier? Come here, why are you so shocked? Han Yuan glared at him, and said angrily, if outsiders saw this reckless appearance, it would be because of the face of Tai Holy Land. No, not this. That Miss Qianying is here too. Heard the words. Han Yuan's expression also changed drastically. He grabbed Yang Donglin's shoulder and said with more emotion than him, are you sure? Sure. Otherwise why would I come to you in such a hurry? Yang Donglin also gave Han Yuan a blank look. He also said that I can't hold my breath, and I think you are similar. How long will it be? Han Yuan asked anxiously. Estimated tomorrow. Ah? Tomorrow? Such an important matter, why didn't you tell me in advance? Han Yuan has nothing to worry about when people from the Holy Kingdom come, but when the Miss Qianying comes, it's different. Maybe something big will happen. I just found out, and then I came to you immediately. Where's the old Holy Master? Are you back? Han Yuan knew that he couldn't stabilize this situation alone, and the old Holy Master had to come forward. Not yet, the old Holy Master hasn't come back for more than 100 years, don't you all know? Yang Donglin replied. Where's the elder? Not here either. The great elder went out some time ago, and I don't know where he went. Second elder went out a few years ago. He said he went to some forbidden place to be locked up, and he probably won't be able to come back. Now. You are the only one left to preside over the overall situation. Yang Donglin replied. Hey, time is running out. Hurry up and tell the other elders the news. People from the Holy Kingdom will come tomorrow, and they will be important people. Let them pay attention to etiquette and don't offend them. Also, tell the disciples of the Holy Land not to go out of the cave at will, and tell them to practice in closed doors. The disciples are reckless, afraid that they will offend people who come to the Holy Kingdom. Han Yuan exhorted word by word. This day, the Holy Land of Taiyi suddenly issued a notice to let all the disciples and deacons return to their cave. Without being notified of the next step, you can't walk out without authorization. This moment, Su Han was sitting on the balcony on the second floor of her small attic, sipping tea, and staring at the sky. Sure enough, something big happened. It seems that, just as Su Han expected, something big happened in Yinyi Holy Land. This may also be the reason why Marong Xiaoxiao appeared with black luck. This matter will not affect the Holy Land, but it will affect Marong Xiaoxiao. Su Han is still watching the changes, and he is still hesitating in his heart whether this investment is worth it or not. Let's take it one step at a time. If it's not too troublesome, Su Han decided to help. After all, Marong Xiaoxiao has great potential and extraordinary background, so she is worth investing in. This moment. It is about 1,000,000 kilometers away from Taiyi Holy Land, above the clouds. There is a huge black shadow, shuttling through the clouds. Look carefully. This is a red-feathered Luan, several thousand meters in size, hiding the sky and covering the sun like a walking fire cloud. The scales are like red armor, and the wings spread out. Every time they vibrate, the fairy cloud will be shaken away, and the terrifying aura it emits makes it impossible for any bird to come close to Fang Yuan for 100,000 miles. On Akabane's back, stood 5 figures. The first one was a woman in black. Tall and slender, wearing a black long dress without any color sets off the dignity of the goddess of the night, and the black gauze covers her face, but from this pair of beautiful eyes as deep as Yiming pearls, it can be seen that her appearance must be peerless. Behind the woman in black was a man wearing a gold robe. He was also handsome, with sword eyebrows and red eyes. Although his expression was calm, there was an unconcealable arrogance and inner spirit in his eyes. And from the corner of his eye, he looked vaguely at the man in black in front of him, with only respect in his eyes, not daring to show any trace of greed. Among the other 3 people, one was a slightly stooped old man, and the wide cyan fairy robe looked extremely unfit on his thin body. There are 2 more, one is tall, a full 2 meters tall, and the other is thinner. From the clothing and standing position, it can be seen that these 2 should be guards. At this time, the rickety old man slowly raised his head and looked at the clouds in front of him. A fairy light flashed in his cloudy eyes. Immediately, he said respectfully to the woman in black in front of him, "Miss, at this speed, we won't arrive until tomorrow. Do you want to speed up?" "No need, just this speed. Give them some time to prepare." Ju is. Just like that, several people did not speak. Another hour passed. The man in gold and brocade robes finally couldn't help it anymore, and had to find a topic. Miss Qianying must have come to the Empire for the first time. "This is my second time here. I still remember the last time I came to Dagon. The Emperor Dagon was still a child." The words fell. The woman in black didn't answer. She just looked at the front very calmly, not knowing what she was thinking. Seeing that the woman in black ignored him, the man in gold did not continue. When he learned that Miss Ganying was also going with him, he was very excited for a long time. You know, in the Holy Kingdom, the word 1,000 shadows is synonymous with bright pearl and dazzling. If he can build up the relationship with 1,000 shadows, then his status in the Holy Kingdom will rise even higher, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that he is on the same level. But, just thinking about it, it's impossible. Because Miss Qianying is notoriously indifferent, she doesn't take the initiative to communicate with anyone, and refuses people thousands of miles away. It is difficult to see her in the Holy Kingdom for hundreds of years. In addition, Miss Qianying's status in the Holy Kingdom is very high, and the people who can be compared with her can be counted with fingers. The Daqin Empire has developed rapidly in the past 10,000 years. I still remember that the former Daqin Empire was a small country that couldn't stand on the table, a tiny place. I don't know, after working so hard for so many years, has anyone stepped into the realm of immortality? The rickety old man sighed and sighed when something happened in the past suddenly sounded. At this time, the man in the golden coat on the side also asked with some surprise. That is to say, someone from the Daqin Empire has already stepped into the shattered realm? Hearing this, the old man gave him a blank look. It seems to be saying, didn't you just pretend that you were familiar with Dagon? As far as I know, there are several people in Dagon who have set foot in Broken Realm. In these years, Yinqin has developed really rapidly. If Su Han were here, he would definitely be surprised. Because the cultivation shown by this rickety old man has already reached the broken 6th level. What is even more frightening is the black-clothed woman. Her aura is firmly suppressing the rickety old man, that is to say, the black-clothed woman's cultivation has reached above the broken altar. At this level, as long as the woman in black wants to, she can destroy the entire Dagon Empire by herself. The cultivation level of the man in the golden robe and brocade robe is a little lower, but he has also reached the 5th level of Shattering Void. The ones with the lowest cultivation level, that is, the 2 guards, only have the Pajan realm. 5 people, just pick out one at random, and stomp their feet can change the entire pattern of Dagon. From this point, we can see how powerful Yinyi Holy Kingdom is. How is Xiao Zhu in Taiyi? Finally, the woman in black asked a word. Hearing this, the stooped old man said, Xiao Zhu is very good in Taiyi, but it seems that something is abnormal recently. Abnormal? At this moment, the woman in black's mood finally fluctuated a little. In fact, she came to Taiyi Holy Land in person mainly to take Xiao Zhu back, and she was worried about letting other people pick her up. Actually, it's not abnormal, but the mood may be a little melancholy recently. After hearing these words, the woman in black breathed a sigh of relief. Because only she knows what Xiao Zhu means to the Holy Kingdom, and no accidents can happen. At this time, early in the morning, Han Yuan dressed neatly, led a group of elders, and stood on the highest and most conspicuous Tianyi Peak in Taiyi Holy Land, waiting quietly. As long as it is the elders who are in the Holy Land at this moment, all of them are present, and no one dares to be absent. It would have been fine if Miss Qianying hadn't come, and you wouldn't have to be so nervous, but if she came, the specifications would be completely different. Soon, a huge black shadow appeared in the sky, slowly approaching the Holy Land of Taiyi. When I got closer, I realized that it was not a black shadow, but a huge Jiyu Luan. On Chiyuluan's body, stood a few figures. The first one was a woman in black. Even though they were so far apart, the coercion that came from them made Wan and others breathless. Han Yuan was shocked. He has only heard of the reputation of Thousand Shadows, but he has never seen it. This is the first time he has seen it. His cultivation is not bad, he is only one step away from the broken realm, but facing that Miss Qianying, he feels breathless. This oppressive feeling is definitely not the oppressive feeling of the shattered realm. But above the broken, the realm of the gods. At this time, on a mountain peak, in the attic, Su Han raised his head slowly, looked at Chiyu Luan, and his gaze also fell on the leader, the woman in black. Immediately, his pupils fluttered and his brows frowned slightly. He felt the breath above the broken from the black-clothed woman, that is to say, the black-clothed woman has reached the divine realm. At this time, Su Han didn't know why, but an inexplicable fighting spirit surged in his heart. He actually wanted to fight against Shenyuanjing a little bit, and wanted to test his upper limit of strength. It seems that the background of the Golden Yi Holy Kingdom is terrifyingly strong. With the slow landing of Akabane Luan, Han Yuan and his party hurried up to meet them. Miss Chikage. Han Yuan cupped his fists and shouted respectfully to the leading woman in black. A group of elders behind them also clasped their fists and bowed. The words fell. The woman in black just nodded slightly and didn't say much. Next second, the stooped old man standing behind the woman in black said loudly, "Lead the way." Han Yuan understood and waved the other elders to leave first, leaving only Murong Xiaoxiao alone. "Come with me." In this way, a group of people went directly to Shengya Peak. When he arrived at Shengya Peak the stooped old man asked 2 guards to guard the entrance of Shengya Peak to prevent anyone from entering. In this way, a group of people entered the Holy Cliff Peak. After passing through the dense forest and entering a purple bamboo forest, the woman in black saw the little guy not far ahead at a glance. At this time, the iron-eating beast was lying lazily basking in the sun. The full name of the woman in black is Yun Qianying. Yun Qianying walked towards the little guy slowly. The rest of the people all stood in place tactfully. The little guy probably sensed a familiar atmosphere, then opened his eyes, sat up, and after seeing Yun Qianying, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. Then ran towards Yun Qianying. Seeing this scene, Yun Qianying smiled coldly, squatted down, and touched the iron-eating beast. Xiaozu, I'm here to take you home. The words fell. The iron-eating beast flashed a look of surprise, but soon thought of something, and its eyes gradually dimmed. This detail, of course, cannot be hidden from Yun Qianying. At this moment, Han Yuan, who was not far away, felt a chill on his back and his forehead was covered with sweat. The stooped old man asked Han Yuan, "Elder Han, has Xiao Zhu had any contact with other people recently?" The words fell. Han Yuan explained, No, except me. And me, I stayed by Xiao Zhu's side the longest, and no one else has been here except me and Elder Han. Marong Xiao at the side said aloud. Immediately, the man in golden clothes who came with him, named Luoyu, looked Marong Xiao up and down, and a trace of greed flashed in his pupils. Unexpectedly, there is such a woman in this Taiyi, who is not inferior to Yun Qianying in terms of appearance and temperament alone, and her cultivation is also high. She has reached the 8th level of Shattering Void. Such a woman is a dazzling existence even in the Holy Kingdom. Marong Xiao? I've heard about you. You're pretty good. Follow me back to the Holy Kingdom. Yun Qianying looked at Marong Xiao and asked plainly. After saying that, Marong Xiao bowed slightly towards Yun Qianying and said, It is my honor to be appreciated by Miss Qianying. Hear this. Han Yuan, who was on the side, felt a storm in his heart. Entering the Holy Kingdom and entering the Holy Kingdom by Yun Qianying's side are two completely different lives. It can be foreseen that with Marong Xiao's talent and being by Yun Qianying's side, then, Marong Xiao's future is beyond estimation. Thank you for taking care of Xiao Zhu during this time. Yun Qianying looked at Marong Xiao with surprise in her beautiful eyes. She never expected to meet such a training genius in Taiyi Holy Land. Coincidentally, she also lacks someone by her side. This Marong Xiao might be able to do it. Seeing Yun Qianying, she was going to bring Marong Xiao back to the Holy Kingdom. And, prepare to take Marong Empress with you. A bold plan emerged in Luoyu's heart, but this plan might be a bit dangerous. Once it was revealed, he might face a situation of irreparable doom. But if it succeeds, then Luoyu will truly reach the pinnacle of life. He looked at Marong Xiao, a wolf light flashed in his eyes. Xiao Zhu, we should go. The ancestor is still waiting for you to go back. After hearing that Yun Qianying brought the old ancestor out, the little guy seemed to be shocked. He was not afraid of the sky and the earth. The only thing he was afraid of was the old ancestor in Yun Qianying's mouth. It knows that it must go back. At this moment, it suddenly thought of something, gestured at Yun Qianying, and said something. Hearing this, Yun Qianying frowned, with a look of shock on her face, and asked doubtfully, You want to take someone away? That person in the little guy's mouth is none other than Su Han. It also has a plan in its heart, and takes its master away, because in its capacity, it can support the master to become an important figure in the holy nation, enjoy the best resources. Hearing this, Yun Qianying didn't think too much about it, thinking that Xiaozu met new friends here, and it would have no effect if he brought them back to the Holy Kingdom. But, the Taiyi Holy Land really exists for the person Xiaozu described? Do you have a cultivator here whose strength is similar to mine? And, very young, looks like hundreds of years old. Because according to Xiaozu's description, the person it wants to take away has a breath no weaker than his own, so he is in the Shenyuan realm. And the real age, the highest will not exceed 500 years old. Taiyi Holy Land, when did a cultivator from the divine realm appear? Moreover, it is still very young, less than 500 years old. Even Yun Qianying has never heard of Shenyuanjing who is less than 500 years old. Hear this sentence. Not only Han Yuan was dumbfounded, but the stooped old man and Luoyu were also dumbfounded. What? Her strength is about the same as hers, only a few hundred years old. Not to mention the holy land of Taiyi, it can't be found in the whole continent. Han Yuan was stunned for a while before he realized, Miss Ren Ying was joking. Our Taiyi holy land, how could there be such a number one person? Impossible, absolutely impossible. What is the concept of the Shenyuan realm that is not even 1,000 years old? Even if you start practicing from the womb, riding a rocket, there is no bottleneck, and it is not so outrageous. As long as one sets foot in the Zifu realm, after the Taishu realm, it is too common for a small realm to be stuck for hundreds of years. Stepping into the Shenyuan realm at the age of hundreds of years is equivalent to not having any bottlenecks in the realm. Riding a rocket all the way to break through, every day is not breaking through, or on the way to break through. At this moment, Yun Qianying said to the Jinyi Iron Eater, "Xiao Zhu, did you remember wrongly?" She might think that Xiao Zhu took the dream as reality. After all, Xiao Zhu's greatest hobby is to eat and drink enough to bask in the sun. Next second, a sound transmission came from nowhere and entered the little guy's mind. Hearing this voice, the little guy instantly understood, and then explained that he might have misremembered. Hear Xiao Zhu's explanation. Only then did Han Yuan heave a sigh of relief. Xiao Zhu's true words were astonishing and endless. Afage. If Xiao Zhu insisted that there is such a god-man in Taiyi Holy Land, where would he go to dig out such a person? Hundreds of years old and Shenyuan dare not do this even in a dream. Next second, Qiyu Luan landed slowly and landed on the top of Shengye Peak. Xiao Zhu, let's go. Just like that, Yun Qianying led the iron-eating beast onto Chiyu Luan. At this time, Yun Qianying looked down at Han Yuan from a high position and said, "I think you have contributed to taking care of Xiao Zhu. In a few days, the Holy Council will give you a lot of resources. With the help of these resources, you can improve yourself." Heard the words. Han Yuan was extremely excited and pleasantly surprised. This is the resource promised by Miss Qianying herself. Its gold content and value will be immeasurable. With the help of those resources, maybe he can successfully set foot in Broken Realm. You must know that the monks who have stepped into the Broken Realm in the entire Daqin can be counted on one hand. At this time, Su Han's eyes turned to Shengye Peak. Follow his thoughts. A text message appeared in his mind. When he saw clearly. Stand up abruptly. Name, Marong Xiao Xiao. Luck. Concentrated purple, black luck, has the potential of a trace of Dharma talent. Age. 989 years old. Cultivation, void-shattering 8th realm. Life evaluation. Born in Qingchu Shenshen, with the blood of Qingchu Tianyu, unparalleled talent, bearing the karma of Qingchu Shenshen, practicing Tinlin immortal art, can be transferred to the 9th life, and now is the 9th life. Recent encounter. I was hit by a rank 9 life-death GU, I've narrowly escaped death. After reading it, he found that Marong Xiao Xiao's text message had changed again. The last time I checked, the system only reminded her that she would encounter a death calamity, but Su Han didn't know exactly what the death calamity was. But when I checked this time, I found that a specific death robbery was given. That is to say, Marong will be imprisoned by something called Enmity Transformation Life and Death GU. Moreover, the little guy will also be taken away by the woman in black, probably back to the Holy Kingdom. If Su Han wanted to stop him, he could only kill everyone except Marong Xiao Xiao and the little guy, and all problems would be solved perfectly. In this way, Marong Xiao Xiao's death calamity was resolved, and the little guy didn't have to be taken away. However, it is not necessary after all, the little guy is going back to his own home. Moreover, Su Han was also sure whether Marong Xiao Xiao's death came from these people. Killing these people will only anger the Holy Kingdom and bring endless troubles to Su Han. Because Su Han still doesn't know the underlying strength of Jinyi Shengguo. After thinking about it for a while, Su Han decided to follow along to see what's going on. Next second, Su Han slowly stretched out his right hand and compressed it towards the space around him. In an instant, Su Han turned into a particle and entered the space. Today, Su Han's ability to control space and compress space has reached the point of perfection. Moreover, after his in-depth study of the laws of space, he seems to have touched something deeper. Still need to study slowly and take time to verify. As Qiyu took off, it gradually disappeared into the clouds. Han Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, the little ancestor was sent away, otherwise he would be worried all day long. Now he is much more relaxed. Above Akabane Luan. The little guy was sitting alone, looking in the direction of Taiyi Holy Land, in a daze, his eyes full of reluctance. Just now the owner told it through sound transmission, let it go first, and I will go to it later. Yun Qianying looked at the little guy and sighed faintly. After all, Xiao Zhu has been in Taiyi Holy Land for so long. For him, Taiyi Holy Land is an absolutely safe place, and it is also a place to relax and enjoy. The reason why I brought Xiao Zhu back to the Holy Kingdom this time is also because the time for the old ancestor is approaching. Xiao Zhu must be allowed to go back and accept the inheritance. The burden on Xiao Zhu's body will be heavier in the future. Yun Qianying looked at Xiao Zhu's small back, feeling a little distressed. After returning to the Holy Kingdom, the little ancestor can't be so carefree, it has to shoulder the heavy responsibility of the Holy Kingdom. At this time, Luo Yu looked at Marong Xiao Xiao, feeling very conflicted in his heart. He didn't know whether he should take this risk, but this was the only chance. After returning to the Holy Kingdom, it would be almost impossible for him to get in touch with Yun Qianying again. In his hand, there is something called Turn 9 Life and Death GU. He had obtained this thing by accident in a certain ancient ruins, and it was Luo Yu's biggest hole card. He has hidden this hole card for thousands of years, but has never encountered a good opportunity to use it. This Turn 9 Life and Death GU has a vicious but very heaven-defying effect. Rank 9 Life and Death GU, there are 2 GU, one is Life GU and the other is Death GU. Luo Yu kept the Life GU for himself, and the Death GU was placed on Morong Hu's body. Those who have been given the Death GU will have their luck and life energy stolen, and will be passed on to the person holding the Life GU. Moreover, if the person who has been given the Death GU often stays with someone with great luck, he will also absorb the other person's luck and cultivation level, etc., and feed it back to the person who holds the Life GU. For example, after he put the Death GU on Morong Xiaoxiao's body, Morong Xiaoxiao's luck and longevity would be slowly stolen by him. Moreover, if Yun Qianying brought Morong Xiaoxiao by her side, she would also absorb part of Yun Qianying's luck. It is equal to killing 2 birds with 1 stone. He definitely didn't dare to put the Death GU on Yun Qianying's body directly, because Yun Qianying's cultivation was too strong. No matter how concealed the Life and Death GU was, it might still be discovered. It might as well be on Morong Xiaoxiao's body, so that even if the matter is revealed in the future, he will destroy the birth GU. It will only be blamed on Morong Xiaoxiao's head, and will not be suspected on Luo Yu, so the risk is even smaller. At this time, Luo Yu walked towards Morong Xiaoxiao. Then he said with a smile, "My name is Luo Yu, and we will be in the same school from now on." Hearing this, Morong Xiaoxiao only smiled symbolically. Her personality is somewhat similar to Yun Qianying's. She likes to be alone, and doesn't like to communicate with others. At this time, with a thought in Luo Yu's mind, the Death GU turned into an invisible streamer, piercing into Morong Xiaoxiao's skin. Immediately, Morong Xiaoxiao also felt something, and looked at Luo Yu vigilantly, but after looking carefully for a while, she didn't find anything unusual. After playing the Death GU, Luo Yu continued to return to his seat, sat down in meditation, closed his eyes and meditated. This moment, Su Han, who was hidden in the space, witnessed everything. It can be regarded as locking the target. It seems that it was this man in gold who put the Death GU on Morong Xiaoxiao. The birth GU stays on him. He just finished listening to the system's introduction to this Turn 9 Life and Death GU. This GU itself originated from an ancient race in ancient times, but was captured by some great monks and refined into this Life and Death GU. The function of this Life and Death GU is very vicious. It is equivalent to absorbing others to fulfill oneself. It is completely 2 extremes with Su Han's heavenly deed. Su Han's heavenly deed as a win-win, and will not affect the contract object itself. And his Life and Death GU, on the contrary, the person who has been tricked will unknowingly be sucked in by a little bit of luck and longevity. It can't be seen that this man in golden clothes looks so good, but his heart is so dark. After Morong Xiaoxiao was under the Death GU, Su Han could clearly see that the luck above her head had gradually turned black. In other words, at 350, if Su Han doesn't intervene, what awaits Morong Xiaoxiao will be a tragic death. After thinking for a long time, Su Han still sighed heavily. I don't know whether he didn't dare Luo Yu's approach, or because he wanted to invest in helping Morong Xiaoxiao, Su Han still decided to make a move. Moreover, it is not safe to let such a dark person stay with the little guy. In case he is bold enough to focus his attention on the little guy one day, that would be bad. Therefore, Su Han had to kill this man now, otherwise it would be difficult for them to do it after they arrived in the Holy Kingdom. Suddenly, Akabane Luan stopped suddenly. Its body seemed to become stiff all of a sudden, and it was fixed in the air. What happened? The stooped old man also opened his eyes suddenly, looking as if he was facing a formidable enemy. Luo Yu also felt a certain powerful aura, and stood up suddenly. Yun Qianying looked ahead, her eyes pierced through the clouds, and there was a wave of fluctuation in her calm eyes. Next second, as the clouds ahead dissipate, a figure stood in the air, standing in front of Akabane Luan, forcing them to stop. All eyes fell on the figure standing in the air in front of him. Dressed in a simple and clean white fairy robe, with a slender figure, sharp edges and corners, and a very outstanding temperament, just like an exiled fairy. A gust of wind blew the surrounding fairy clouds in the man's clothes. Yun Qianying frowned, looking at the man who forced her to stop. A look of shock flashed in her eyes, because she couldn't see through the man's cultivation. The aura emanating from him was so strong that it even brought a sense of oppression to himself. In other words, the strength of this man's cultivation far exceeds his own. The crooked old man, named Mo Yanshan, looked up and down this white-robed man who suddenly appeared with a face of shock. You must know that his cultivation base has also reached the broken realm. However, when facing this man, there is actually a feeling of looking up to the mountains. Moreover, he could feel that this mysterious man had suppressed Miss Qianying in terms of breath alone. Luo Yu also looked at this man with apprehension on his face. He only had the third level of Shattering Void Realm. At this moment, he only felt a little stuffy in his chest, and he was even a little out of breath. This man also looks very young. Although he doesn't know his exact age, he will definitely not be older than 1,000 years old. Murong Xiaoxiao's gaze was also focused on this man, and her brows were tightly frowned. She always felt that she seemed to have seen this face somewhere before, but she couldn't remember it for a while. Very familiar feeling. However, she is familiar with the elders of Taiyi Holy Land. Could it be a disciple of Taiyi Holy Land? Because she basically didn't stay in Taiyi Holy Land very much, and even gave lectures only once a long time, she was very unfamiliar with the disciples of Taiyi Holy Land. But it's impossible. This man's aura is so strong that it can already suppress Miss Qianying. Miss Chikage is in the Kagami realm. In her memory, in the entire Daqin Empire and Taiyi Holy Land, no one has set foot in the realm of Shenyuan realm. At this time, the little guy saw his master coming, and a look of surprise flashed in his big eyes. However, it knows that it cannot recognize each other now. Just now when Tai Yisheng said that he would take the master away, it now regrets it a bit. At that time, it only wanted to use its own power and resources to help the master become stronger and benefit the master. However, it ignores an important point, because although it has a high status in the holy country, there is still that old guy on its head. If the old guy knows the relationship between itself and its master, the old guy is definitely going to be bad for the owner. Therefore, only after he takes over the position of the old guy, can he return to the Holy Kingdom as his master. At that time, in the entire holy nation, no one dares to disobey its words, and it will be able to ensure the absolute safety of its master. It can also use the resources of the holy nation to fully assist its master. Because although the master is strong now, he knows that it is still very dangerous to go to the holy country without his own protection. Therefore, it is not yet possible to recognize each other, absolutely not. At this time, Yun Qianying suddenly thought of something. Turning his head, he looked at the iron-eating beast and asked, Xiaozu, is this the person you mentioned? Yun Qianying is so smart, she guessed something almost instantly. The words fell. The little guy shook his head, indicating that he didn't know him. Although she got this negative answer, Yun Qianying already had the answer in her heart. This mysterious man must have something to do with Xiao Zhu. Possibly, it was also the main reason why Xiao Zhu turned against normal during this period. However, she could only think that Xiao Zhu and this mysterious man might have a good relationship, but she never thought that Xiao Zhu and this mysterious man were already the relationship between the master and the pet. She definitely won't think about it, it's too outrageous after all. Xiao Zhu's status, in the entire Lingyuan continent, I am afraid that there are not many people who can be Xiao Zhu's master. In fact, it is very wise for the little guy to act like this. If Jinyi Shengguo knew about his little ancestor and became the spiritual pet of a monk, then it would be fine. The entire holy country must be exploded. Now that the old ancestor is coming to an end, if the little ancestor takes the position, then the little ancestor's status in the holy kingdom will be supreme. Then, if a monk becomes its master, then what about the monks of the holy kingdom? Patriarch? Master Taizu? Then Su Han's seniority is directly above the entire holy kingdom, and he is a super senior. Therefore, once the holy kingdom finds out about this relationship, it will eliminate Su Han at all costs. Young master, what do you have? Yun Qianying looked at Su Han and said coldly. Because Xiaozu is here, if he is here for Xiaozu, then even if she falls here, Xiaozu must be protected to return to the holy kingdom safely. Seeing Yun Qianying's rising fighting spirit, Su Han replied, It's nothing, I'm here to help you Saint alone. A very calm sentence made everyone stunned. At this time, Mo Yanshan came out, clasped his fists and said to Su Han, I don't know where this powerful fellow Taoist comes from. Please forgive me if my holy kingdom offends me. Mo Yanshan is also an old fox. He moved the Golden Yi Holy Kingdom out, and the Golden Yi Holy Kingdom still has a certain status and weight in the mainland. However, he did not dare to speak too much, because the holy nation did not look down on the mainland, and there were many forces that were stronger than the holy nation, so he did not dare to speak too much. Because such a strong person certainly cannot come from the Daqin Empire, but can only come from the top forces in the mainland. Those few top forces, Jinyi Shengguo can't afford to provoke them at present. Su Han didn't answer, his eyes slowly fell on Luo. The moment Luo Yu was stared at by Su Han. I just feel suffocated. My body is a little cold, and even my blood is a little coagulated. This is the suppression of absolute strength. He didn't even suspect that as long as this powerful man had a thought, he might die at that time. This is the suppression of absolute strength, not even the slightest resistance exists. At this time, Luo Yu tremblingly clasped his fists at Su Han, his tone trembling. This senior, I don't know how this junior offended senior. If I have offended you before, Luo Yu will apologize to senior here. Facing the threat of death, he was really scared. He didn't expect that he would meet such a powerful man when he came to the Dagon Empire. What's more, it's the first time he saw this powerful man, so he couldn't figure out when he offended him. Could it be? Impossible, absolutely impossible. It is impossible for this death Gu to be discovered. Even Yun Qianying, who was right by her side, didn't realize that she had given Murong Xiaoxiao the death Gu. How could he know? Moreover, Murong Xiaoxiao obviously didn't know this man, so what did she do to Murong Xiaoxiao if she put a death spell on Murong Xiaoxiao? Si Su Han did not answer. As Yun Qianying with the highest cultivation base, of course she had to speak out. After all, this Luo Yu is from the Holy Kingdom, how could she let outsiders kill her in front of her? This fellow Taoist, although I can't see your aura clearly. However, I can tell that you should not have stepped into the realm of the gods. If Luo Yu has ever offended you, I will match him up for you. If you don't mind, you can go to the Holy Kingdom with us. My Holy Kingdom will treat you well. Yun Qianying looked at Su Han and said. Although she didn't care about Luo Yu's life or death, she was a member of the Holy Kingdom after all, so if she was killed like this, it will have an impact on the prestige and reputation of the Holy Nation. Moreover, the Holy Nation has spent a huge amount of resources in cultivating a great cultivator in the Shattering Void realm, and if it fails, there will be a lot of losses. The meaning of her words is also to say, I am not afraid of you in a fight, but you also have to consider whether it is worthwhile to offend the Holy Kingdom. Su Han doesn't care so much. I can't tell for a while. Kill Luo Yu first, dig out the raw Gu on his body, everything will be clear. Su Han ignored Yun Qianying's words. With a burst of breath, he grabbed Luo Yu's void, and suddenly, the space around Luo Yu began to collapse in an instant. This moment of urgency. Yun Qianying's beautiful eyes fluttered, and her breath was fully opened. The cultivation base of the Shenyuan realm advanced, causing the surrounding space of 100,000 miles to be distorted. The powerful aura made it difficult for Mo Yanshan and others to breathe. This is the coercion of the Shenyuan realm, and if it is released with all its strength, no matter it is the Shattered Realm or the Shattered Void realm, it is unbearable. Next second, Yun Qianying's aura instantly collided with Su Han's aura. When a broken sound sounded above the entire void, a space crack of tens of thousands of meters opened. Under the high-altitude Earth, there was a rift several kilometers deep. Even if the distance was so far, the ground collapsed and spread hundreds of thousands of miles. This is just a collision of breaths, so it can be seen that the power of the Shenyuan realm is strong. This moment, Su Han also felt the strength of the Shenyuan realm. However, a trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes. Weak. Too weak. He originally wanted to try the upper limit of his strength with Yun Qianying. But now after fighting, he realized that it was far from enough for him to make a real move. When Yun Qianying and the others, together with Kai Yuluan, were all sent flying several hundred meters away, barely stopping. The fight lasted for less than a breath, and the winner was already divided. Yun Qianying, defeated. The gap has already been clearly seen. Even if they continue to fight, it will not change her defeat. This moment, Luo Yu was so frightened to death that he almost knelt down. Mo Yanshan and Murong Xiaoxiao also froze in place, their minds blank. And those two guards, under the strong coercion, have already lost consciousness and passed out. Yun Qianying stabilized her body and looked at Su Han with an incredulous expression. Her beautiful eyes were full of shock. This is her first defeat, and it was such a complete failure. The most important thing is that the other party has not yet reached the divine realm. Does such a person really exist in the entire continent? Why has she never heard of it? After seeing its master defeating Yun Qianying, little stars of admiration gushed out of the iron-eating beast's eyes. As expected of the master, because of the fishy smell. At this time, Mo Yanshan came out suddenly. My lord, please don't hurt Miss Qianying and the spirit beast behind me. If you want to vent your anger, kill me. Come with Luo Yu, we have no complaints. Hearing this sentence, Luo Yu was obviously taken aback. Next second, Su Han sighed and said, "When did I say I was going to kill you? I only killed him alone." As soon as the voice fell, Luo Yu's whole body was strangled by a powerful spiritual force, and his whole body became worried. "Senior Mo, Miss Qianying, please help me. I've never done anything outrageous, and I've never offended him. He just doesn't care about the holy nation at all. He is declaring war with the holy nation." At this moment, Luo Chuan was roaring like crazy. Even if he dies, he will stir up the hatred between Su Han and the Holy Kingdom. Once he completely offends the holy nation, he will not escape death. Heard the words. Su Han didn't explain much, but said calmly, "You guys have a good look." Finished. Su Han waved his hand. Amidst Luo Yu's screams, a beetle like Gu fell out of Luo Yu's skin. It landed on Akabane Wan's back. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on that Gu. Seeing his own raw Gu, after being forcibly stripped off by Su Han, Luo Yuichi panicked all of a sudden. He was just about to quibble, but found that he could no longer make a sound. His expression was reddened, and his body couldn't even struggle, hanging in the air like a dead dog. At this time, everyone's eyes were fixed on the fallen Shangshang. Among them, Yun Qianying quickly recognized this thing. As this Gu? After all, Yun Qianying had read a lot of ancient books, had come into contact with, and seen a wide range of things, so she quickly recognized that this was a Gu, and Shen belonged to the very dark and vicious curse-drawing Gu. At this time, Su Han's voice came slowly. "This Gu, there is a pair. This Gu is called Jiasheng, there is another Gu, named Death Gu. And that Death Gu has already been dropped on one of you by him." Su Han just finished speaking. Mo Yanshan instantly felt his scalp tingle. Although he didn't know what this Gu did, he could feel this Gu. It was very ancient and contained a very dark energy. Moreover, he didn't notice when Luo Yu cast the Gu. Could it be that it's on me? Next second, Mo Yanshan immediately checked his whole body. Marong Xiaoxiao suddenly thought of something. Her face was startled. Just now Luo Yu took the initiative to talk to him, and then suddenly there was something wrong. Could it be that the Death Gu landed on him? Yun Qianying also checked herself, but found no Death Gu. At this time, Su Han said, "This kind of Gu is called Rank 9 Life and Death Gu. People who have been infected with the Death Gu will move 130 degrees over time, and their cultivation luck and even their lifespan will be captured by the Life Gu holder. Furthermore, the people around who are infected with the Death Gu will also be affected." As soon as the words came out, a flash of shock flashed in Yun Qianying's beautiful eyes. Wow, it was the first time she had heard of a Gu with such a heaven-defying effect. Next second, Su Han's eyes fell on Marong Huhu. Immediately, Su Han waved his hand. Marong Xiaoxiao suddenly suffocated, and her skin felt a tingling pain. In the next second, a streak of black air floated out from Marong Xiaoxiao's skin, and then turned into a Death Gu emitting black air, and landed on the ground. This moment, Marong Xiaoxiao was a little frightened, and quickly took several steps back. "I have a cup under the skin." At this time, Luo Yu's expression was desperate, and he wanted to explain aloud, but he couldn't make any sound. After seeing the conclusive evidence, Yun Qianying looked at Luo Yu. Her eyes became very cold, the temperature of the surrounding space dropped dozens of degrees instantly, and the air began to freeze. She was just about to take Marong Xiaoxiao back to the Holy Kingdom, and bring it by her side. Then Luo Yu cast a Gu on Marong Xiaoxiao, not only to get her attention, but also himself. At this time, the way Yun Qianying looked at Su Han completely changed. Next second, she bowed slightly towards Su Han, and said, "Thank you, my lord, otherwise if this villain gets his way, the consequences would be disastrous. Little man, let me clean up the portal myself." Immediately, with a wave of Yun Qianying's hand, the spiritual power turned into countless hurricanes, which directly penetrated Luo Yu's whole body, leaving no corpse in the blink of an eye. It turned into a cloud of blood mist and disappeared in the wind. Luo Yu didn't even have time to beg for mercy, so he lost his mind. At this time, only then did Marong Xiaoxiao recover from her fear and shock. She turned her head and looked at Su Han. Her gaze was also full of gratitude, and of course there was a trace of complicated expression. "Who the hell is he? Why take such a big risk to save yourself? Young master, please thank you for saving your life." At this moment, Marong Xiaoxiao stuttered a little. She didn't know what to say except thank you, and her mind was a little confused. If there is no help from this young master, then what is waiting for him will be absorbed by the Death Gu, and he will die tragically for no apparent reason. At this time, when Su Han looked at Marong Xiaoxiao again, he found that the black luck in her luck had disappeared. Moreover, Murong Xiaoxiao's luck seems to be slowly evolving in a certain direction. Possibly, just as the system predicted, Murong Xiaoxiao's luck has a slight possibility of being promoted to Fashang luck. And now, resilience is increased by Su Han. It is really possible to slowly be promoted to the talent of Fashang luck. Congratulations to the host, the investment is successful. Get feedback rewards. Do you want to check and receive them now? Hearing the system's announcement, he knew that he had made the right bet. This time it was not in vain. Murong Xiaoxiao's catastrophe of dying was completely resolved. Get it later. Su Han said to the system in his heart. It can be known from her biography. This is her 9th reincarnation. It is also the doomed catastrophe of the 9th world. She is destined to die in this 9th world. After all, the reincarnation of the 9th life is an act of going against the sky, seizing great luck, and messing with cause and effect. It is also normal to die in the 9th world. Because failure is the main theme of the road to immortality, how can there be so many things that go against the sky and end well? However, the appearance of Su Han directly changed her destiny. It directly reversed her tragic ending. Therefore, Murong Xiaoxiao's fate and luck will be sublimated. However, Su Han didn't notice at the moment. With Su Han's intervention in fate, the big cause and effect in the dark are slowly shifting in a certain direction. Of course, even if he thinks about it and notices it, he doesn't care about cause and effect, it doesn't matter. He always believes that good causes will eventually bear good results. What you do is what your heart wants, and you start with your own heart. There is nothing worthwhile or not, as long as you can get a good return, good results are fine. The little girl's name is Yun Qianying. I don't know the son's name? At this time, Yun Qianying's attitude towards Su Han changed greatly. When he heard Yun Qianying calling herself a little girl, Mo Yanshan swallowed unconsciously. It was the first time he had seen Miss Qianying such a low profile in his life. However, this man who is too powerful to understand is also worth it. Less than chateaus, with such talent and strength, he defeated Miss Qianying face to face. If this is reported back to the Holy Kingdom, I don't know how big a storm it will cause. Su Han only said his last name, not going to say his full name. Because he could not reveal his identity yet, he only planned to invest in Murong Xiaoxiao, and then remove a time bomb for the little guy. Low-key development and investment, the group is the top priority. Thank you Mr. Su for saving me. Master Su, can you go back to the Holy Kingdom with us? Mr. Su's kindness is so great, it is etched in his heart. At this moment, Yun Qianying looked at Su Han with a complex expression. This man was the most amazing person she had ever seen. Although she lost to him, in her heart, she still wanted to win back in the future. Of course, this is just chasing, and there is no other malice. She is very persistent on the road of cultivation, and her biggest dream is to explore the higher scenery on the road of cultivation. Therefore, this Mr. Su, in her mind, has become a goal worth pursuing and learning from. She can afford to lose, let go, and win back later. This is her character. What's more, what surprised Yun Qianying was that such a person, with such talent, should have already been famous in the mainland. Hearing this, Su Bo waved his hand and said, no need. How could Su Han go back to Jingyi Holy Kingdom with them? The ghost knows if he went to the Holy Country, will he be arrested by some old monster to study? He is not invincible in the mainland anymore, one step at a time. Eat up the cake of Taiyi Holy Land first, and then make the next step. At this time, Su Han suddenly thought of something. Using the eyes of the sky, Yun Qianying was surveyed. Next second, a textual message about Yun Qianying appeared in Su Han's mind. After seeing clearly, Su Han was stunned. Name, Yun Qianying. Airluck. Qian Yu's aspect cultivation level, Shenyuan triple realm. Age. 6,870 years old, life evaluation. Yu Yuexian, one of the three souls, has gone through thousands of hardships, can break his life, return the three souls to one, and reshape the king. Now experiencing the 500th catastrophe. A person with a miserable fate. Recent encounter. 3 years later, I will encounter fatal calamity in an ancient secret treasure. 10 years later, I will be planned by the enemy, and encounter a combined robbery. 20 years later. Fate evaluation. Qinjie Nirvana, Qianchu miserable, great miserable person. After reading it, Su Yin also took a deep breath. Let us talk about the recent encounters column first. It is so densely packed that Su Han's eyes are dazzled. At a glance, it's full of misery and catastrophe. This is the first time that Su Han has invested in so many years and invested in so many people, and he has seen such ill-fated people. It's hard to imagine, how did she survive until now? At this time, the system announcement sounded again. Investment is successful. Get feedback rewards. Would you like to receive it now? Hearing the sudden announcement, Su Han froze for a moment. What's going on? How did you get feedback again? At this time, he looked carefully at Yun Qianying's recent encounters column, and one sentence had faded. He also understood. Just now Su Han helped Murong Xiaoxiao solve the death robbery, and inadvertently helped Murong Zhaozhao solve the life assistant. Therefore, it is equivalent to killing 2 birds with 1 stone, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and getting 2 feedback rewards. What frightens me most is that Murong Xiaoxiao's catastrophe has been resolved, and she will basically not encounter life-threatening catastrophes in the future. However, for Yun Qianying, it was just one of the disasters she solved. Just like, your death calamity is just one of my many calamities. For some reason, Su Huang felt a little sympathetic to an Shu named Yun Qianying. It really deserves to be uniquely evaluated by the system as a big miserable person. Her fate was indeed rough. However, from the column of her life evaluation, you will also get the answer. Fa. Yun Qianying is one of the 3 souls of Qian Yu Xianjun, that is to say, Yun Qianying's identity and fate are terrifyingly great. Because Su Han didn't know whether this Xianjun was a realm of cultivation or a title. All in all, Su Han doesn't need to be too clear about other things, he just needs to know that this Yun Qianying is the talent of Fashong. Moreover, she has not overcome so many catastrophes, that is to say, as long as Su Han stays by her side and helps her again and again, she can keep pulling wool. At this time, the system seemed to understand Su Han's heartfelt voice. Said. With the current strength of the host, the same creature can only make 1 investment. Hear this sentence. Su Han dismissed this unrealistic idea. If he could keep plucking wool at a living being, Su Han would have caught a monk with high luck, helped him, and kept plucking wool. Where is the need to constantly look for new investment targets? In fact, Su Han had thought about this idea a long time ago. It's just that Xiangyun Qianying didn't encounter such a special situation. If you think about it carefully, this idea is not very mature, because even if you can continue to invest in a monk, then, not every monk will encounter endless disasters and difficulties. The next disaster may be years, decades or even hundreds of years. Then Su Han had to stare at it all the time, and the time and energy spent was too huge. It is impossible for Su Han to give up a piece of life for a tree. Moreover, there is something in the system's words, that is, when the strength becomes stronger in the future, it can increase the second investment in a creature. And Murong Xiaoxiao was reincarnated in the 9th life, and the lives were miserable. Yun Qianying, one of the 3 souls, Ren Zhu is immortal. In fact, the fate of these 2 people is a bit tragic, and the fate of these 2 people is really wonderful. You keep going. Su Han gave way to the road in front of him, he stood here, this Kai Yuan didn't dare to move at all. At this time, Murong Xiaoxiao and Yun Qianying both wanted to say something, but they both wanted to say something. Immediately, Yun Qianying sighed faintly, and just said, if Mr. Su passes through the Holy Kingdom in the future, you can come to the Holy Kingdom, and I will personally receive you. In fact, Yun Qianying wanted to give some treasure as a thank you, but in this case, it would seem too snobbish. Because, kindness needs to be repaid with kindness. If you give it a treasure, the taste will change. Murong Xiaoxiao also thought the same way, she didn't know how to thank Su Han for saving her life, she could only keep this kindness in her heart, and repay her kindness when she became stronger. Yes, next time for sure, Su Han also said with a smile. He will definitely go to the holy country in the future, because he doesn't want to pick up the little guy. Now, let the little guy go home first, and there will be better development in the Holy Kingdom. Because judging from this posture, let a strong person in the Shenyuan realm pick it up in person. It can be seen that the little guy's status in the Holy Kingdom should not be low, right? There should be no danger in that, and better resources can be obtained. Therefore, it is also a wise decision to let the little guy go back, and it is also good for its development. Because with the speed of his breakthrough, he will soon be strong enough to go directly to the Holy Kingdom to pick up the little guy. Young Master Su. There will be a period later. Yun Qianying took a deep look at Su Han, then turned her head away and left. Su Han stood in the air, looking at the Qiluan who was going away, he was filled with emotion. Seeing the little guy leave, he would also think of Shi Yi and Qing Qingyu, they have been away for several years, I don't know how they are doing outside. Qing and Qingyu Su Han are not worried, because they will basically not encounter any difficulties. Su Han even had some expectations, looking forward to what level of cultivation they had grown to now. On the contrary, it was Stoneborn, Su Han was a little worried. Back then, Su Han only saved him because he looked at him pitifully. Although later, his luck level improved, but compared with his junior sister, it was still too low. There will definitely be many catastrophes and difficulties, and I don't know if he can resolve them. In fact, there is a saying that is also true. The master leads the door, and the practice depends on the individual. Su Han's disciple, of course, has to be alone. It is impossible to grow up under his own protection all the time. Shi Yi is a young man who came out of the mountains. From being mediocre to giving Su Han hope, it all depends on his hard work step by step. In fact, Su didn't have too strict requirements on Stoneborn. If he can reach the Zifu realm and the Taishu realm, he has already broken his own limit. In short, a bowl of water is flat. Su Han treats his disciples with no partiality and treats them equally. Don't ignore it just because of poor talent. Moreover, the Stoneborn's talent was poor, so Su spent more effort. However, until now, Su Han has never figured out a thing. That is, Su Han once invested in Shi and received feedback from the Taiwan Ju. Han has been using it until now. Although Su Han obtained more, better and more advanced exercises in the follow-up, this Taiwan Ju has always been Su Han's main exercise. Because of this Tai Huang Ju, the more you practice, the more you feel like spying on the mountains. Let's go back first. Because Su Han felt several auras coming towards him. It should be the battle between Su Han and Yun Qianying just now. The commotion was a bit loud. In fact, Su Han's words are still conservative, which is not a bit big. Just that fight. In the land below the high altitude, there are dozens of mountains and millions of kilometers of land, all of which are cracked, and countless spirit beasts flee, almost creating a wave of big beasts. The emperor in the royal family was so frightened that he fell off the dragon chair directly. He thought it was Deu who had already broken through the front line and came to the imperial kingdom, and was about to destroy the kingdom. It's just a fight, and it's still at an altitude of tens of thousands of meters. If Su Han let go of fighting with Yun Qianying, it is estimated that after a few encounters, the entire territory of the Dagon Empire would be wiped out by the aftermath. The so-called gods fight, and imps suffer. This is no longer the little devil's disaster, the entire empire has to suffer. This is the horror of the Shenyuan realm. After Su Han left for half an hour, 2 monks appeared this time. The leader is a middle-aged man, wearing a light purple robe, with a majestic face, and his brows are tightly knit at this moment. Standing behind the middle-aged man is an old man in gray. If Su Han was here, he would definitely recognize the gray-clothed old man. This old man was the old man he met in the tea-house in Longcheng. Yuan Guoshi, what do you think? The middle-aged man asked the old man in gray. Back to your majesty. If I'm not mistaken, there's just been a fight here. Drying the country, the cracks in the mountains, the stinging of the spirit beasts, and the surge of beast tides are all caused by the aftermath of this battle. The gray-clothed old man looked at the void in front of him, and in his cloudy eyes, there was a little bit of fairy light. War? Just a battle? The middle-aged man had a shocked look on his face. What kind of battle is this at an altitude of tens of thousands of meters? Is it just the aftermath, and can also affect the territory of the Daqin Empire? You can see, what level of warfare is this? Shattering void realm? Or broken realm? The words fell. The old man in gray shook his head. Seeing this, the middle-aged man's pupils fluttered, and his face became a little unnatural. Could it be? Yes, if I'm not mistaken, this is above the broken Kamigaki. The words fell. The middle-aged man also froze. Shenyuan realm. At the same time, Su Han has returned to Taiyi Holy Land. He was going to find a place to receive the reward. I don't know if the feedback rewards of these 2 times will allow him to break through to the Shenyuan realm in one fell swoop. Shenyuan realm. Could this be our Dagon monk? The middle-aged man looked a little excited, and asked the old man in gray. The words fell. The old man in gray looked at the void in front of him, and in his cloudy eyes, a little light flickered. Immediately, he shook his head and said, I can't see clearly. But what I can roughly confirm is that there may be one person who is a monk of Dagon, and even if he is not a monk of Dagon, he is also inextricably related to Dagon. Of course, this is just my rough inference. Because this is beyond the scope of my deduction. Hearing this, the middle-aged man was a little excited. Can you deduce that person's identity? The middle-aged man asked a little excitedly. Your Majesty, you are looking high on old people. The other party's cultivation level is so high that I can deduce. Hearing these words from the old man in gray, the middle-aged man also sighed faintly and said, Behind Deu, I don't know which force in the mainland has secretly helped, and the combat power has suddenly increased by several levels, and the front line has been defeated. If you continue like this, you will be in danger. Hearing the middle-aged man's sigh, the gray-clothed old man said, I once went to Tianji Pavilion and visited my uncle. because my deduction skills still have a lot of shortcomings. So, I begged my uncle to ask him to deduce a hexagram for me. What is deduced is the fate of the elder. Hearing this, the middle-aged man looked at the gray-clothed old man with a visibly nervous expression. Because he is very clear about who the uncle of the national teacher is, that is the old pavilion master of Tianji Pavilion. Tianji Pavilion occupies its own domain, and in the entire continent, its influence and prestige can be ranked high. Tianji Pavilion, calculate the secret, judge the fate. In the mainland, it belongs to a very special and neutral force, and almost no one dares to provoke it. Don't talk too far away, just talk about things in the last tens of thousands of years. Tianji Pavilion once counted the fate of a monk, saying that it was a supreme figure, and later supported that monk. Later, that monk single-handedly founded the Yangming Holy Land, and that monk became the Holy Lord Yangming among the countless legendaries. Today's Yangming Holy Land is a powerful force in the entire Lingyuan continent. That Holy Master Yangming also became the elder guest of the Tianji Pavilion in order to thank the Tianji Pavilion for its help. Therefore, Tianji Pavilion itself is actually not that strong. But because of its particularity, the strong network resources it has accumulated, and his attitude of indifference to the world, no one would have the guts to mess with Tianji Pavilion. However, Tianji Pavilion is not a miraculous miracle in legendary. He is only probabilistic, time-sensitive deduction to certain causal fate, not necessarily accurate, also somewhat illusory, and even somewhat chaotic. Sometimes, only a vague deduction can be made. Just like that, Sacred Lord Yangming, Tianji Pavilion also inadvertently deduced that he might have the appearance of the Supreme. Prior to this, there were countless failure examples, and then there was a successful example of Sacred Lord Yangming. Because fate is illusory, who dares to assert? If the Tianji Pavilion could assert that, wouldn't the Tianji Pavilion have already dominated the mainland? However, at this time, I have to mention the abnormal calendar. With Su Han's system, you can see a clear and definite fate. In front of Su Han, Tianji Pavilion is just a babbling, immature baby. The middle-aged man's breath was obviously short of breath. What's the result? The old man in gray looked ahead and sighed. The result of the deduction has two extremes. One is rise. One is perish. Heard the words. The middle-aged man frowned, and he couldn't understand the meaning. Master, please don't be tricky. His Majesty. That's what this result means. Maybe it depends on His Majesty's choice. Every decision you make will affect the fate of Daqin. If you choose the right one, you will rise. If you choose the wrong one, you will perish. The gray-clothed old man replied word by word. My choice? Then how should I choose? What is it that I need to choose? Middle-aged man confused. But after all, this is the result of the deduction of the old pavilion master of Tianji Pavilion. He has to believe it. The old man in gray was silent for a few breaths. Then he said, I don't know, and neither does my uncle. My uncle told me that he saw two vague images of the future of the Dagon Empire. One is thriving, the country is strong and the Tao is solid, the arrogance of heaven is doubled, and it is above the transcendent. The other one is that the people are devastated, the corpses are everywhere, dilapidated. After speaking, both fell silent. National teacher, can you take me to meet the old pavilion master once? The words fell. The gray-clothed old man shook his head and said, Uncle Master has already guessed your thoughts, so you don't have to go to him again, and he won't see you either. He said, a big fight is not necessarily a dead end. He at least saw the bright side. It shows that there must be a way of salvation and rise in the Daqin Empire. However, your Majesty needs to find out. After another long silence, the old man in gray said quietly, Your Majesty, fate is illusory. Whether it's me or my uncle, we can only pry into the greatness and mystery of fate from a humble perspective. In front of the cause and effect of fate, we are all insignificant like ants. After listening, the middle-aged man also sighed. Thank you, Master. Let's go. Su Han returned to Taiyi Holy Land, his own cave. When you are ready to receive your reward, think of something. Next second, he moved his hands towards the space around him and began to squeeze, in an instant. The space where the attic of Su Han's Dongfu is located is completely separated into the space cracks, forming a boundary within a boundary. Because if it breaks through to the Shenyuan realm, there will definitely be a big commotion. If there is too much movement, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. Therefore, Su Han chose to make a low-key breakthrough in boundary within the realm. System, get the reward. Su Han said to the system. At this moment, he was still looking forward to what kind of feedback reward he would get. The first feedback rewards are as follows. 1. 50 years of deep cultivation and perception, 50 years of deep meditation perception. 2. The perception of reincarnation in the first life. 3. 9-turn reincarnation heaven art, no fixed order, self-adaptive. 4. Dao Tire, incubating. After watching these rewards, Su Han was also stunned for a long time. This reward was the reward for investing in Murong Xiaoxiao. After seeing these rewards, Su Han was also shocked. One must know that Murong Xiaoxiao's luck is only likely to evolve towards Dharma aspect, and has not yet fully reached the level of Dharma aspect. However, the feedback rewards have already far exceeded the scope of purple luck, and have almost reached the level of Dharma aspect talent rewards. It can be seen from this point. Murong Xiaoxiao's luck level is very likely to be promoted to Fashong in the future. This situation has also happened to Su Han. Sometimes Su Han invests in 2 monks who are both gold. Feedback rewards will also be significantly different. This means that one of them has gold luck, and gold luck is only his upper limit. And the other one, gold luck has not reached the peak. If you seize any opportunity in the future, if you get any opportunity, the level of luck will be improved. This leads to different feedback rewards. To be more professional, that is to say, the system's investment evaluation mechanism is perfect, taking into account the hidden value, expected value, and possible value of the investment object. At this time, Su Han had to say, the system is awesome. With 50 years of deep cultivation and comprehension, after 50 years of deep meditation and comprehension, Su Han entered a deep epiphany state. At this moment, he seems to be sitting in the void, spying, deducing, feeling, everything is very real. It's as if Su Han has personally experienced these 50 years. Next second, Su Han's aura of cultivation continued to grow. With a broken sound, Su Han's aura rose instantly. Broken 9 realms. In less than half an hour, he directly broke through to the broken 9th layer realm. If you practice conscientiously by yourself, you don't know how many years it will take you to break through. After breaking through to the broken 9th layer realm, the aura is still surging. About an hour passed. As the aura surged again, the space around Su Han, under the pressure of the powerful aura, had already formed a distortion of nothingness. Su Han's whole body must be merged into the void. This is just the aura that emanates, and it has reached such a terrifying level, which shows what level Su Han's real strength must reach. Su Han's aura continued to soar. The space around Su Han suddenly shattered, forming a circle of void and chaos. At this time, his cultivation has reached the shattered Dzogchen, and he is already hitting the divine realm. This process lasted for another half an hour. Su Han has already clearly felt that the bottleneck of the Shenyuan realm has been broken, and there is only one last step left. Next second, the breath began to gradually weaken, and finally stopped at the shattered Dzogchen, only one step away from the Shenyuan realm. From this, it can be seen how far the distance between the shattered realm and the divine realm is. The difficulty from broken realm to Shenyuan realm is the sum of the difficulties of all previous realms, multiplied by 10 times, it is more than. It's no wonder that after working so hard for so many years, there has never been a monk in the Shenyuan realm. This difficulty is not ordinary. However, for Su Han, there is no bottleneck difficulty, it is just a matter of receiving feedback rewards again. Next. Receive the second reward of this round of rewards, the perception of reincarnation? Just when Su Han was still wondering what this reward was, the environment around him has changed, he seems to have entered a different dimension. Surrounded by nothingness, nothing can be seen. Next second, some scenes started to appear around. In the first picture, the baby cries and falls to the ground. Then, the baby grew up slowly and became a young boy, who first tasted practice, conflicted among teenagers, experienced practice, stumbled. At this time, Su Han seemed to have become the perspective of God, and he seemed to have become that young boy. It's weird, like watching myself grow. Gradually, the picture keeps changing. Young people are happy to befriend each other, beauties and confidants, draw the bow and pull the dragon, and go away with the wind. 30 years in the east of the river, 30 years in the west of the river. All these scenes were displayed in front of Su Han. Not my own personal experience, but better than my own personal experience. Later. Sitting alone in a high position, overlooking the earth, full of children and grandchildren. With cloudy eyes, looking at the prosperous past, and finally sighing, the end is approaching, turning into a spring breeze, without any reason. The picture came to an abrupt end here. Although Su Han seems to have finished watching one person's life, in fact, the time has only passed by a few short breaths. At this time, Su Han's breath rushed suddenly. His body, blood, soul, consciousness, tendons, are all undergoing strange sublimation. This sublimation process lasted for an hour, at last. Breath suddenly came to a whole new realm. Su Han suddenly felt a feeling of being reborn, and his whole body became a little light. Shenyuan Realm. At this moment, Su Han stepped into the divine realm steadily, without any obstacles or bottlenecks. In fact, Su Han was still a little excited at the moment when he really stepped into the Shenyuan realm. This feeling is like the legendary you once looked up to, and one day you become that legendary yourself, and there is a sense of joy from the heart. Yes. Finally, I have reached the Shenyuan state, and I feel a sense of peace in my heart. Su Han, who has set foot in the realm of the gods, whether it is the entire Dagon Empire, or the Dayu Empire that is at war with Dagon, or the Taiyi Holy Land that is above them, Su Han can overlook and be absolutely invincible. When Su Han was only at the Shattered Realm, he had already clearly felt the weakness of the Shenyuan third layer realm. Now that he has truly stepped into the Shenyuan realm, Su doesn't even know where the upper limit of his strength is. It is now in the realm of the gods. Su Han's investment in Taiyi Holy Land does not need to be too restrictive. Although he knew that when he was in the broken 8th layer, his true strength was no longer in any danger in the Taiyi Holy Land. But stepping into the Shenyuan realm now is absolutely invincible. Because the old Holy Master of Taiyi Holy Land has not yet appeared, it is said that he has gone somewhere, and Su Yin is not sure about it. Perhaps the only uncertain factor is the old Holy Master. That old Holy Master is the first person in the true sense of the Dagon Empire. Although he has never seen it, Su Han can roughly judge that he has no chance of winning against himself. Unless he is above the God Wall. But above Shenyuan, how could it be possible to still be the Holy Lord here, and have already gone to the Holy Kingdom? Moreover, Su Dian is not afraid even if it is above Shenyuan. If his current foundation and comprehensive strength can't go beyond a big realm, then it's unreasonable. With Su Han's training speed, just cross that hurdle. Breakthrough speed will advance by leaps and bounds. It is very simple to invest and accumulate one by one. It seems that the perception of reincarnation in this life is really amazing. Su Han sighed. This was the first time he had seen such an award. This reward is like, Su Han was reincarnated in one life, and then lived that life, the accumulated insights. But Su Han directly skipped that time process, and after a few breaths of time, he went through a lifetime and directly obtained the final insight. So far, Su Han has only seen this reincarnation training method on Marong Xiaoxiao's body. Unfortunately, Su Han's reincarnation was just an ordinary, normal monk's life. For Su Han's current state, he didn't gain much insight into his cultivation. What's more, it's just the improvement of state of mind, perception, and perception. However, this one-life reincarnation comprehension allowed Su Han to break through the last bottleneck and come to Shenyuan Ju. Overall, it was pretty good. Next reward. 9-turn reincarnation heaven art. Suddenly, in Su Han's mind, words appeared one after another, and these words were also a kind of ancient Chinese. However, for Su Han, this tongue has no dyslexia. Just a cursory glance. Su Han was shocked. There is such a technique. Although this 9-turn reincarnation heaven technique has the same feeling as Marong Xiaoxiao's Tinlin Immortal technique. However, this 9-turn reincarnation heaven art is more perfect and complete, and it feels like an upgraded version of Tinlin Immortal art. The simple explanation is that this heavenly technique allows Su Han to undergo 9 reincarnations. The only difference is that these 9 reincarnations can carry memories. After each reincarnation, all the cultivation bases and sense organs obtained in that life will be solidified. Keep it to the next life, the starting point will be higher and higher. That is to say, the first life is immortal, and after the reincarnation is over, the starting point of the next life may be the second generation of immortals in a holy land of an immortal family, enjoying countless resources. Keep superimposing in this way until the end of the 9th world, and finally return to the main body. This 9-turn reincarnation heaven technique has already involved the top-level law of reincarnation. It can be said that it is very against the sky. Some of the supreme powers standing at the top of the pyramid of Shuxian Dao, some have already touched the upper limit, and they will study reincarnation and rebirth, which is against the sky, to break through the bottleneck. Although this technique is very against the sky. But for Su Han, it seems to have little effect. Because he didn't need to go through reincarnation to improve his cultivation, because Su Han didn't have any bottlenecks at all. However, this skill can be kept. One last bonus. Road tire. Next second, in Su Han's Dantian world, a blue-black stone appeared. This stone is about as tall as a human head. If you look carefully, the surface of the stone is constantly beating, like a heart. Su Han can feel the majestic spiritual power and vitality from this blue-black stone. 9th grade Dao embryo. The host drips blood essence into the Dao embryo. If in the future, the host encounters an irreversible death, The body dies and the Tao disappears. Your soul will escape reincarnation and return to this Tao embryo. Daojiao was reborn. After reading it, Su Han was also stunned for several seconds. Good guy. This thing turned out to be a resurrection coin. It can also make Su Han's soul escape from reincarnation. This is too heaven-defying. This is an absolutely invincible life-saving hole card, which is equivalent to directly giving Su Han a second life. The value of this Tao tire is immeasurable, no matter who it is or who has reached any high level. This Tao tire is absolutely heaven-defying and precious. Because, who wouldn't want to have a second life? Life is the most important thing. When a person dies, nothing is left. Throughout the ages, no matter how brilliant you were in life, as long as you die, the heavy torrent of time will eventually wash away any traces of you. Therefore, the level of preciousness of this Tao tire surpassed any treasure that Su Han had obtained before. Immediately, Su Han put this tire in the safest place in his Dantian world. However, Su Han hopes that he will never use this hole card. The first round of rewards has been collected. This is the feedback reward for investing in Mirong Xiaoxiao. Not only did Su Han successfully break through to the Shenyuan realm, but Su Han also got the two heaven-defying things of 9-turn reincarnation technique and Tao embryo. From this point of view, Mirong Xiaoxiao's true identity is definitely deeper than what Su Han imagined. After all, this is her 9th reincarnation, and after she successfully passes through this 9th life, Mirong Dumpling will return to her real body. Su Han also didn't know where Mirong Xiaoxiao's real body came from, what kind of realm. However, that is not what Su Han considers. He just wants to be a ruthless investment machine. Do you want to receive the next reward? The system's broadcast sound came again. Hearing this voice, Su Dian came back to his senses. He almost forgot that there is also a feedback reward for investing in Yun Qianying. Yun Qianying is a real talent in Dharma. Get it? The voice just fell. Feedback rewards are as follows. 1. 100 years of deep cultivation and perception, 100 years of deep meditation perception. 2. 10,000 years of longevity. 3. Immortal Book of Chaotic Ancient Town. 4. Starcraft. After watching the rewards, Su Han was also slightly taken aback. It is worthy of being rewarded by Fashong, the quality is high. Soon. With the influx of 100 years of deep cultivation, Su Han's aura began to soar again, after 10 breaths. The second level of Kagaki, Kagaki Triple Realm. The 4 realms of Kagaki, the 5 realms of Kagaki. It lasted until the 5th stage of Shenyuan before it completely stopped. Shenyuan realm. Having reached this realm, breaking through a small realm is as difficult as reaching the sky. If Yun Qianying knew Su Han's breakthrough speed and breakthrough method, she would probably be scared to death. In fact, Yin Han was also frightened. Breaking through 5 realms directly, is this the gold content of Fa Shang's talent? Simply not too cool. It took Su Han only 2 investments to go from the broken 7th level to the current Shenyuan 5th level. However, it is still because the object of investment is of high quality. One is comparable to the appearance of the law, and the other is the appearance of the law. That's why Su Han's current investment goal is to pursue relatively high quality, and at the very least, it takes blue to barely catch the eye. In terms of improvement in cultivation alone, regardless of the rewards of other magic weapons, investing in this talent is comparable to Su Han's investment in hundreds of blue luck, dozens of gold luck, and dozens of purple luck. For example, investing in blue luck, when you are lucky, you can give feedback on your 10-year cultivation experience. But it does not mean that the effect achieved by investing in 10 blue luck is comparable to the effect of investing in law. Because the quality of the comprehension of cultivation of investing in blue luck is obviously lower than the comprehension of cultivation of Fashong, and the two are not at the same level at all. To put it simply, it can be understood that the higher the level of luck, the higher the quality of the cultivation perception obtained from the feedback. Immediately afterwards, Wanyan's longevity reward. It's been a long time since I saw the reward of longevity yuan. This time I directly harvested 10,000 years, I am very happy. For Su Han, time is money, the longer you live, the more you can invest and the stronger you will be. Next second. In Su Han's left hand, a book appeared, and in his right hand, a foot appeared. This should be the Ran Gu Town Immortal Book, and Ancient Star Pen. It seems. Or is it matching? Su Han looked at the gold book and Black's handwriting. System, you really don't want to explain the usage? The words just fell. The system announces. The Immortal Book of Chaotic Ancient Town. It contains the most amazing and brilliant ancient formations in the ancient times. It is the only pearl and treasure of the way of formations in the ancient times. It has gathered the hard work of generations of mage in that era. Sacred formation. Ancient Star Pen. Existed in the immortal ancient era before the ancient era. This magic weapon was originally the life magic weapon of Siming Tianjun, but it was completely lost after the immortal ancient war. After reading, Su Han froze for several seconds. These two magical treasures are really powerful, right? It seems to be a complete set, a book and a pen, but in fact they are separated by two eras. One is the ancient era, and the other is the immortal era. It seems that somewhere, a magic weapon that does not belong to the same era was delivered to Su Han at the same time. At this time, a bold idea emerged in Su Han's heart. If not, try combining them. Let's see how it works out. Just do it. At this time, Su Han waved his hand, and the surrounding scene began to change, and he appeared in his attic again. Next second, soaring into the sky, overlooking the holy land of Taiyi. Holding the fairy book of Luanggu town in his left hand and the ancient star pen in his right hand, he looked down at the holy land of Taiyi. He was going to use the Taiyi holy land to test his conjecture. Su Han overlooked and looked at the entire Taiyi holy land. Next second, he picked up the ancient star pen and opened the first page of Zhenxian book. The first page of Zhenxian book is an ancient formation called Tianghu Formation. Immediately, Su Han picked up the ancient star pen and followed the trajectory of the Tianghu Formation, targeting the Taiyi Holy Land, and began to form the formation. Holding the ancient star pen, using the Taiyi Holy Land as the brush, following Su Han's hand, gently draw around the Taiyi Holy Land. This moment, in Taiyi Holy Land, sending off Xiaozu's Han Yuan. At this moment, with an anxious expression on his face, with his hands behind his back, he paced back and forth in the hall, looking out the door for a while, and sighing for a while. Next second, a figure hurried into the main hall. It was none other than the sixth elder of Taiyi Holy Land, Yang Donglan. At this moment, in order to meet the big shots of the kingdom of Jin, he deliberately shaved off the beard that had grown for hundreds of years. How is it going? When Han Yuan saw Yang Donglan coming, he immediately asked. I don't know. I personally went to the place where the battle was fought, and I don't know the specific situation. But I'm sure, Miss Qianying must have fought someone. As soon as the words came out, Han Yuan's face was startled, with a strange expression. Fighting Miss Chikage? Who can fight Miss Ganying? Daqin Empire, not to mention finding someone to fight against Miss Qianying, who can muster up the courage to fight against Miss Qianying, is considered an incredible character. Still fighting? Isn't this off the charts? Old Yang, do you want to hear what you were talking about? Han Yuan looked at Yang Donglan suspiciously. Brother Yuan, we have been brothers for thousands of years, when did I ever lie to you? I can't guarantee the rest, but I can guarantee that someone has indeed fought against Miss Qianying. Think about it, if it wasn't for fighting Miss Ganying, how could there be such a big commotion? Yang Donglan said seriously. It seems reasonable. Han Yuan murmured, but who can fight against Miss Qianying? Miss Qianying is in the Shenyuan realm. Even if the old holy master returns, she is not a one-shot enemy for Miss Qianying. Han Yuan thought carefully about the few monks who stepped into the broken realm in the Daqin Empire, and shook his head one after another. The gap between the broken realm and the divine realm is greater than that of humans and pigs. The divine realm can suppress the monks in the broken realm at will with a wave of their hands. Therefore, the existence that can fight against Miss Qianying is at least the Shenyuan realm. Let's do it. Has anyone set foot in the Shenyuan realm? Han Yuan asked Yang Donglan. Impossible. Those from the Dagon Empire are still far from the Shenyuan realm. All the monks in the broken realm, because part of it is eaten by us. The ones who are most likely to set foot in the divine realm are all in our Taiyi Holy Land. I guess, it should be Kagaki Amnono on the mainland. Yang Donglan replied. That's the only possibility. Han Yuan sighed faintly and said, now that Xiao Zhu has finally been sent away, the resources of the Holy Kingdom will arrive soon. Our Taiyi Holy Land needs to make use of these resources to flourish. If I remember correctly, you have been stuck in the broken 9 layers for hundreds of years, right? Han Yuan asked. 873 years, almost 1,000 years, I guess I will be in this state in my life. Broken realm, I'm afraid it's hopeless. The Daqin Empire has already entered a few broken realms. I, who has stayed in the Taiyi Holy Land for so many years, have yet to step into the broken realm. I am truly ashamed. Yang Donglan smiled wryly. The Daqin Empire has indeed changed a lot in the past 10,000 years, and it actually broke out of several broken realms. However, it may also be the last glory of Dagon. Dayu got the secret help of that force, and it was only a matter of time before he annexed Dagon. Our Taiyi Holy Land was not originally considered to be the power of the Dagon Empire, and we have done our best to Dagon these years. Han Yuan said. Hey, yeah. It's really a pity to do a great job. The great world is about to rise, and there are a few broken realms, but in the end, they still can't escape the fate of extinction. If the power behind Deu gives blessings and help, even if the old holy master steps forward, he won't be able to keep his job. Yang Donglin also said leisurely. The rise and fall of empires, the vicissitudes of life, and the replacement of dynasties are all normal. Let's think about how to step into Broken Realm. We are all just a step away. Although Han Yuan is the third elder of the Taiyi Holy Land, his strength ranks only in the upper middle of the Taiyi Holy Land. The old Holy Master, the first elder, the second elder, and the ninth elder basically don't care much about the affairs of the Holy Land. They are all in retreat, traveling and practicing. Then everything about the Holy Land was left to Han Yuan. Han Yuan also planned to wait for himself to break through to the Broken Realm and hand over the matter to other elders, and he himself had to travel around. Boom! A dull sound came from the space around the Taiyi Holy Land, and the entire Taiyi Holy Land suddenly experienced a violent shock. What happened? Han Yuan's face was startled suddenly, and he rushed out of the main hall, followed by Yang Donglin. He looked at the space around the Taiyi Holy Land, and began to feel a little distorted. The entire Taiyi Holy Land seemed to be enveloped by something. This is formation? Yang Donglin has a deep research on formations, and he can tell at a glance that it is some kind of large formation, covering the entire Taiyi Holy Land. Array? There is such a terrifying formation? Not only did they trap the entire Taiyi Holy Land, but even they themselves could feel their chests feeling a little dull and oppressive. It's also the first time in my life that I've seen such a powerful formation. Yang Donglin looked at the descending formation, his tone stuttering. This moment, Su Han held the ancient star pen and pointed towards the center of Taiyi Holy Land. Formation. At the same time, the entire Taiyi Holy Land was completely shrouded by the Tian Tiao formation. At this time, everyone, including Han Yuan and Yang Donglin, felt their whole bodies stiff and their blood coagulated, as if they were imprisoned in place by a statue, unable to move. Su Han looked down at the Taiyi Holy Land. Under the Tiangu formation, the entire Taiyi Holy Land was like a still painting. Because Su Han used the ancient star pen to set up the formation, which directly increased the power of the heavenly imprisonment formation by several levels. Seeing that his experiment was successful, Su Han waved his hand and dispelled the formation. He was just experimenting with the combined power of the heavenly forbidden formation in the ancient star pen, and it would be most appropriate to use the Taiyi Holy Land to test the upper limit. After the formation disappeared, the entire Taiyi Holy Land returned to normal, although the weird feeling just lasted only for a while. But the feeling of suffocation and confinement is very real. What the hell? Han Yuan frowned, only feeling a moment of fear. If the formation just now continued, wouldn't the entire Taiyi Holy Land become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? The people who set up the formation are very powerful, otherwise they wouldn't have achieved such a terrifying effect. It seems that there is a supreme power who has his eyes on our Taiyi Holy Land. Should we inform the old Holy Master? Yang Donglin also had a serious expression, as if facing an enemy. No need. The continent is so big, our Taiyi Holy Land is just a drop in the ocean, not worth mentioning. For a real strong man, if he wants to destroy our Taiyi Holy Land, it's just a matter of waving his hands, so. The ones who should not be able to escape, no matter what. It's useless for you to invite the old Holy Master back. Maybe it's just some great power passing by. Maybe we can use our Taiyi Holy Land to try the formation. Anyway, let's just go about our own business. Han Yuan is a person who has seen the big world. He is very open about these things. In fact, it is not unreasonable. In this world, the strong are respected. If a big man who is too strong to resist wants you to die, how can you escape? As the saying goes, the ruler wants his ministers to die, and the ministers have to die. Yang Donglin once again felt the unevenness of the world. Maybe he has been staying in the Holy Land of Taiyi and is used to being in a high position. He always felt safe, but after seeing Miss Qianying in Legendary, he already felt his own weakness and insignificance, and seeing such a terrifying formation again now made him feel uneasy. Strength. Or only strength is the real truth, everything else is just smoke and cloud. For a while, the entire Taiyi Holy Land was in panic. This is the first time this situation has been encountered in Taiyi Holy Land. You must know that the Taiyi Holy Land is the supreme Holy Land above the Transcendence, not to mention that this situation covering the entire Holy Land has appeared, and I have never seen any monks come to the Holy Land to call. However, the Holy Land immediately issued a notice, saying that the vision was caused by the Holy Master's practice, which calmed down the commotion. Su Han returned to his attic. Now he is in the 5th level of Shenyuan, because Yi Holy Land doesn't need to be too heavy-handed. First invest in all the disciples of Tai Yi Holy Land. Such a sense of sight is a bit like when I was in Fulong City. In the unknowing investment, I have become my own again. Unconsciously. Another year has passed. On this day, a near-destructive event happened in the Daqin Empire. In just 1 year, Dayu broke through the front line, and the army had already entered the country. In just a few days, dozens of cities on the border have been lost and reduced to the boundaries of Dayu. Now the war between the two empires has reached a decisive moment. As for Dagon, it can be said that it has reached the point where it is on the verge of collapse. The war between Dayu and Dagon has been a stalemate for many years. Basically, you come and go, and there will be no big victory or defeat. At most, you will lose 1 or 2 cities on the border. But now, in recent years, the Great Yu Empire's strength has suddenly skyrocketed for some reason. It only took 1 year to completely defeat the front line of Dagon, and the entire Dayu monks were defeated and retreated steadily. With Dayu's army of monks entering the country, the Daqin Empire was completely panicked. The royal family issued a notice to the world, and the content was very simple. Under the overthrow of the nest, how could there be any eggs? The purpose is to tell the countless sects of cultivating immortals in the Dagon Empire, and let them know that if Dagon is destroyed, it will not be a matter of royal family replacement, and they will not have a good time. After passing the distribution, the immortal cultivation sect of the Daqin Empire also had to fight hard, and spontaneously went to resist the Daqin army. However, between empires, monks' wars are not based on quantity, but on quality. If you send 100 Shanshan realm to go there, it is better to send 1 Zifu realm there. Because a big cultivator in the Purple Mansion is already comparable to a powerful army. Not to mention the Taishu realm, or even the Shattering Void realm. One of these powerful monks is like 1,000 troops, unstoppable. Among them, the 7 great sects, as well as some top holy places, such as the Baguio Holy Land and Hidden Sword Villa, have also made their moves. However, what played a decisive role was the Baguio Holy Land. Hidden Sword Villa dispatched more than a dozen powerful monks from the Shattering Void realm to barely block the pace of Da Lun's attack. However, it is just blocking and delaying time. Because Dayu's general situation has been established, if there is no supreme power in the Shattered Realm, the situation of this battle is basically impossible to recover. However, once the two sides dispatch the Broken Realm, it means that the final decisive battle has already begun. The Broken Realm is the biggest mainstay and the biggest whole card in the Empire, and it is impossible to be exposed or mobilized unless it is absolutely necessary. Dayu's army slowed down its pace, just to test how many Broken Realm monks there are in the Dagon Empire. When Su Han heard the news, he actually didn't have much fluctuation in his heart. Because in the world of cultivating immortals, the weak are preyed upon by the strong, and the annexation of empires is the law of natural selection and survival of the fittest. In fact, under the devastation of the war, Su Han is most worried about his 3 disciples, as well as his Fulongcheng, Jin Yuanbao and other former friends. Compared with the rise and fall of the empire, what he cares most about is his relatives, friends, disciples and so on. Is Su Han selfish? Maybe selfish. But still, when you think about it, it seems like everyone is selfish. The royal family is worried that their position will be replaced, and the high-ranking monks are worried that their resources and status will be affected after Dayu's annexation of Dagon. Because once Dayu annesses Dagon, it will only eradicate the royal family, and then eradicate some thorny sects. It is also impossible for him to kill all the monks in Dagon. They just want to expand their territory, and they don't want to kill all the monks in Dagon. For some neutral monks, they just changed from Daqin monks to Dayu monks, and the impact is not great. In the final analysis, the most suffering are those monks with low cultivation bases. Because they are too weak, the aftermath of the war can destroy them. Among them, mortals are the safest. There will be no monks to slaughter any mortals, it is unnecessary, and there will be bad consequences. Moreover, with the continuous war, their suffering will be greater. They only hope that the war will end as soon as possible. With Su Han's strength, he alone can repel the entire Dayu and eat everything. However, if Su Han can keep Daqin for a while, can he keep Daqin for a lifetime? He can't stand in front of Dagon all the time, can he? Maybe he can become the savior of Daqin Empire, but Su Jian needs a reason to act. He has already passed the period when he can throw his head and shed blood for the glory of the empire. However, even if Daqin is destroyed, he will keep Fu Longcheng and Wanyanzong, as well as some of his relatives and friends. Because he is the elder of Huan Yunzong, he is also the city lord of Fulong City, he has responsibilities. Su Han is selfish, but he is also a person with flesh and blood and emotions. This moment. Imperial City, inside the Zijin Great Hall. A middle-aged man in a purple-gold robe is playing chess with an old man in a gray robe. Above the chess game, it is already a chilling endgame. The middle-aged man was surrounded by Chu Ge, extremely passive. The gray-robed old man in front of him was holding a sunspot, which was suspended in the air, and his next move was allure. Middle-aged men are already in a doomed situation. In the end, the middle-aged man sighed faintly, threw the sunspot in his hand aside, and sighed. I can't think of any other way except the Tai Holy Land. Heard the words. The old man in gray robe smiled wryly and said, Your Majesty, don't you know what is standing behind Tai Holy Land? Whether Dayu destroys us or we destroy Dayu, it will have no effect on Tai Holy Land. Why does it help us? As soon as these words came out, the middle-aged man's expression became extremely sad. It was only a matter of time before he became the king of subjugation. When Dayu destroyed Dagon, the royal family was the first to be eradicated. National teacher, is there really no hope for Ying'an? The face of this middle-aged man finally lost the majesty of the past. On the contrary, there appeared the sadness of a fallen bandit. Your Majesty, didn't I tell you? Dagon still has a slight chance to rise. The way of redemption lies in Dagon, and His Majesty needs to find it by himself. The gray-robed old man's expression was very flat. Maybe he is already old. It is difficult for Ji Yubo not to be surprised. He is the national teacher of Daqin, and he also hopes that Daqin can last. Unfortunately, in this world, the collapse of empires is a very common thing. To be honest, in his heart, he still hopes to see where the way of redemption that his uncle said. But how do I find it? In order to get Baguio Holy Land and Hidden Sword Villa to make a move, I have almost used all my whole cards and favors. In my opinion, Tai Holy Land is my only hope. How about I go to the Holy Land of Tai and ask the old Holy Master to help Daqin overcome this difficulty? Do you think this method is advisable? The expression of the middle-aged man showed a rare panic, very urgent. He was very eager to find the way of salvation. Hearing this, the gray-robed old man was silent for a few breaths, then sighed. You can give it a try. Although there is little hope, it is the only way that can be seen at present. I'm leaving for Tai tomorrow. The middle-aged man has already bet all his hopes on the Tai Holy Land. At this moment, his anxiety and uneasiness were completely written on his face. Your Majesty, you are the king of a country. If you mess up, Daqin will perish. One more thing, Your Majesty, you also need to know that your strength is also the trump card of Daqin. Seeing that the middle-aged man's mood was very unstable, the old man in gray robe reminded him. Your Majesty, you don't need to rush to Tai Holy Land. Now Baguio Sacred Land and Kongjian Villa have taken action and resisted the offensive. Dayu is also waiting and watching. Your Majesty, your strength cannot be exposed yet. Da Yu also guessed that you will probably choose to seek help from Tai Holy Land during this period. So, on your way, you may be ambushed. Hearing these words, the middle-aged man had a suddenly realized expression, and even a sense of fear surged in his heart. I was really too anxious just now, only thinking about how to break the situation, but ignored these things. I'm really a little confused. The middle-aged man took a deep breath and calmed down. Now the two sides are testing each other's peak combat power, and once they are tested, the decisive battle will begin. Dayu is also waiting and watching, to see what level and how much Dagon's top combat power is, and he is still waiting to see the attitude of Tai Holy Land. And the middle-aged man is one of the top combat powers in Dagon. Once he is exposed, ambushed, and falls. Maybe the next day, Dagon and Dayu would be crushed and destroyed. Your Majesty, don't worry. I'll tell you about someone. Maybe, you might be interested. The gray-robed elder said without haste. Kindness? Who? The middle-aged man asked suspiciously. The Lord of Fulong City. Your Majesty, you should know. The old man in gray robe said. Is that the Master Su whom I enshrined a few years ago? The middle-aged man was so devastated by the war in the past few years that he almost forgot about this character. Yes, that's him. I think His Majesty can use him more. I have been in contact with him before, and he has always been the #1 leader in my dry dragon list. In my opinion, he could very well be Dagon's future hope. Ever since the gray-robed old man met Su Han in Fulong City and had a drink with him, he was very impressed with Su Han. Later, he made a special visit to Fulong City, but found that Su Han was no longer in Fulong City. When he went to Fulong City for the second time, he was also shocked by the development of Fulong City. I don't know if it's his illusion, since Su Han took over Fulongcheng, the whole Fulongcheng has given the gray-robed old man the feeling that it is a rope, very united, and in the state where the war is so exhausting, there is still a kind of tension in Longcheng. A thriving feeling. Among them, What touched him the most was that Su Han's prestige in Fulong City was very high, it had already reached a high level. He killed Li Chengdu. Not only did I not hold him accountable, but I even made him a city lord. I already value him very much. At that time, when I was about to trouble him, you also came to intercede with me, the national teacher. Didn't I value him enough? The middle-aged man asked back. Because at that time, the entire Daqin Emperor knew that Li Chengdu was cultivated by him, and he was crowned as the city lord himself. At that time, Su Han beheaded Li Chengdu in Fulong City, which undoubtedly directly slapped the entire royal family in the face, and also slapped him in the face. So, in fact, he was going to trouble Su Han at that time because the grey-robed old man dissuaded him. In the end, not only did he not pursue the responsibility, but he also appointed a new city lord. This is already a huge concession, and it is also a face for the national teacher. Your Majesty, you should say. His potential is very great. The old man in grey robe continued to persuade. What do you think, the national teacher, how should I value him? How about I just give him my position? At this time, the middle-aged man was not angry and arrogant. After all, he was still an emperor, and the majesty of an emperor should not be lost at any time. In fact, what made him feel the most uncomfortable was that the national teacher already had a vague feeling of helping Lord Su Cheng to ascend to the throne. The national teacher is the think tank of the great royal family and one of the backbones. In such a severe state of war, he actually has to help a monk to get to the top, so he is not happy. Hearing this, the national teacher was also stunned for a moment, sighed, and said nothing more. National teacher, I know you are doing good for the master. However, his strength is at the lowest realm of shattering the void, and the strength of the middle realm of shattering the void really makes him a crown prince. How can he protect the country? What's more, now that the front line is broken and the army is overwhelming, where is he, Su Cheng? Such a person, tell me, how should I value him? The middle-aged man's voice softened a lot. After all, even though he had a grudge, it was impossible to blame the old man in grey robe. Hearing this, the old man in grey robe fell silent. He hesitated to speak, wanted to say something, but finally did not continue. In fact, he himself didn't know why he thought of Su Han at this moment. Perhaps, he went to Fulong City and saw the changes in Fulongcheng, which made him feel that if Su Han can become the next generation of emperor, then will Dagon become as prosperous as Fulongcheng? He has assisted 2 generations of emperors, and met countless amazing and brilliant monks who have worked so hard for so many years, but none of them can make him feel that he appreciates and looks forward to it from the bottom of his heart. Seeing that the grey-robed old man did not speak, the middle-aged man sighed and said, Master, you have been working hard lately. I'm going to deal with things first. As he spoke, he disappeared in place. After the middle-aged man left, the old man in grey robe looked at the endgame on the board for a long time, and finally he picked up the white piece on the opposite side and gently landed it on the board. The game that was already dead suddenly came back to life and was completely reversed. There is even a sign of turning death into victory, turning defeat into victory. Unfortunately, he is not a chess player. At this time, he also recalled a word of advice from his uncle. Cause and effect have been doomed from the very beginning, let it be natural, let it change, it is the best way. This moment. Huluaocheng, a border city near Dayu. Outside the city of Mingla, corpses and broken arms are scattered all over the crimson cracked ground, which is full of desolation and desolation. The war between empires, in terms of cruelty, is a bit pale. At this time, on the wall of Mingla City, stood a tall and burly young man, looking forward calmly. In addition to the determination in his eyes, there was a bit more chilling, exuding the iron-blooded temperament of a General Tien in his eyes. At this time, a commander in black Liujia walked up the city wall, came to the side of the burly young man, clasped his fists and said, General Shao, go and rest, the guards of the city will be handed over to the people below. Manage. The words fell. The burly young man stared ahead, shook his head, and said, let the brothers rest, there may be another battle tomorrow. Hearing this, the commander hesitated to speak, and wanted to say something, but the words just reached his lips. This is an order. Immediately, the leader suddenly stood up straight, then turned around and walked down the city wall. The setting sun is bleeding, and the back on the city wall is stretched very, very long. This iron-blooded general is none other than Shao Renlong. Once a dandy disciple of Wanyan sect, now he has changed into this appearance. There is no trace of childishness or arrogance in him. He used actions to prove to the world that his father is General Chong Sheng, and his son is also General Chong Sheng. Today's him does not rely on any background, from a small soldier commander to the position of general, it all depends on his hard work, and now he has commanded and won hundreds of battles, large and small. His duty is to stick to Netherfall City, so as not to become a gap in the entire front line. That's all. He stood on the city wall for a full night until the sun rose the next day. At the moment when the sun rose, all the soldiers in the entire city were ready to fight. Xiao Renlong breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that there was no enemy army in front of him. It seems that the blockage of the top powerful men of Daqin really had an effect. In his opinion, although he is just a small general, he only guards a city of underworld, but he will stick to it to the end. In fact, these years, Xiao Renlong's record is so strong that his name of General Xiao has spread throughout Daqin. If Su Han were here, he would be extremely surprised. Because the luck on the top of Xiao Renlong's head has turned into a pale purple. Of course, I will also size Xiao Renlong's training speed. Because today's Xiao Renlong has stepped into the Shanshan realm. It's not just the innate realm, it has reached the 8th chapter of birth. It can be seen from this that Xiao Renlong has had a lot of opportunities in these years. He was reborn from the ashes in the death battles again and again, and he has reached the innate state through continuous combat training. In Su Han's eyes, the innate realm is very weak, no different from ants on the ground. But you must know that when Xiao Renlong left Wanyanzong, he was only at the Yuan realm. In other words, with Xiao Renlong's current strength, he can already compete with the great elder of the illusory cloud sect. How many years have passed? This is luck, this is talent. Once in motion, it will be unstoppable. Commander Luo, when will the resources in the rear arrive? Xiao Renlong turned his head and asked a commander beside him. General Xiao. May not be here. The commander also had an extremely serious expression. What's going on? Xiao Renlong frowned. The leader replied, now our Mingla city is not a key border city, and most of the resources in the rear have been allocated to the southern front. Xiao Renlong's breathing was obviously a little short. Not at all. There has been no support materials in the rear for almost a year, and now many soldiers are waiting for healing resources, and they are basically suffering. Not at all. From the voice of the leader, it can be heard that he is also a little angry. That's all. I'll go back to Fulong City tomorrow, and I'll go get some resource pills. Xiao Renlong closed his eyes, took a deep breath and exhaled. During his years on the front line, although he often won battles and earned his reputation, he couldn't see the sincerity of the royal family. Declared himself as General Chong Shang in the back of Daqin. However, the resource does not see much. He is almost fighting with the Xiao family's wealth, and most of the resources are his Xiao family's own resources. In just a few years, the family wealth accumulated by the 3 generations of the Xiao family as generals is about to be wiped out. Heart? It is impossible to say that Xiao Renlong is not a bit chilled. Xiao Renlong is actually aware of the means of the emperor in the royal family. Isn't it just seeing that his father is seriously injured and unable to go to the battlefield, and he has no descendants, maybe the Xiao family will end in his own generation. Then, the royal family will let the Xiao family use all their last remaining heat, empty out the family's heritage, and let the Xiao family die for the big job. Yes, any general who has made great achievements will become an abandoned child as long as he has no descendants and cannot see the future. From the moment the royal family did not provide him with resources, Xiao Renlong had become an abandoned son. Perhaps the final result is that Xiao Renlong led the soldiers to die on the battlefield. But, is Renlong backing down? He cannot. Here are all his brothers. As a general, he cannot back down. First put aside the righteousness of the family in the country, and later the selfish second. Xiao Renlong's relatives, his old father is still in Fulong City, for the sake of his family, he cannot back down. General, do you want to go back to Fulong City in person? The commander was a little worried, because compared to the danger on the battlefield ahead, he was more worried that the general would be framed by villains when he returned to the rear. Because of General Xiao's achievements and reputation over the years, it is inevitable that the villains in the royal family will be jealous. If I don't go back to Fulong City to bring resources back, why don't our wounded brothers wait here to die? Xiao Renlong said word by word. He no longer had any expectations of the cold and ruthless royal family. General, I heard that Fulong City has already changed its owner. General, you must be careful when you go back. The leader reminded. Xiao Renlong hasn't returned to Fulong City for a long time. Ever since he bid farewell to Elder Su in the illusory cloud sect, he has never left the front line. Later, he also heard that Fulong City had a new city owner. He also didn't know who the new city lord was. However, the new city lord must also belong to the royal family. It's like Fulong City has changed the sky, and he doesn't know what it looks like in Fulong City today. Now that the war is raging, my frontline generals suddenly returned to Fulong City, suspected of avoiding the battle. Then Fulong City, to Xiao Renlong, must be a dragon's pond and a tiger's den. But, the royal family won't do anything to him, the royal family only wants to die on the battlefield. Therefore, there should be no danger in going back. At this time, Xiao Renlong's face also showed a hint of reminiscence. Once, he also promised that after Elder Su went to Fulong City, he would personally entertain. But now, when he returned to Fulong City, it was like going to a dragon's pool and a tiger's lair. Correct. I don't know what happened to Elder Su. I will soon die in the front line. Do you want to go back and say goodbye to the old man for real? In fact, he already regarded Elder Su as his relative. But the ridiculous thing is, now that he has become a great general, not only can he not repay the old man, but he is also unable to protect himself. I don't know if he is still in the illusory cloud sect. It should still be there, if Huan Yunzong treats him unfairly. He, Xiao Renlong, will also risk the world's greatness, and take a large army to the illusory cloud sect, and let the illusory cloud sect see that behind his old man, there is a great general backing him. This can be regarded as Xiao Renlong's last guarantee for his old man before his death. I am leaving. General, take care. Xiao Renlong left the front line. Went to Fulong City. He didn't take any arc, and went there alone in a low-key manner. During the journey, Xiao Renlong had mixed feelings in his heart. I don't know what happened to my father. In fact, he was also worried that the royal family had imprisoned his father, after all such cases had happened before. It is to allow him to fight desperately on the front line without any thought of retreating. Coupled with the great changes in Fulong City now, the relationship he once managed in the city lord's mansion must be useless. The distance between the front line and Fulong City spanned half of the Daqin Empire. Even he spent 2 days and 1 night at full speed before arriving at Fulong City. Standing at the gate of Fulong City, he found that Fulong City has no guards. Can enter at will. Because Fulong City is one of the 3 major cities in Daqin, not everyone can enter and leave Fulong City at will. After he entered Runlong City, it feels like Fulong City has completely changed, but I can't tell exactly what changed. Walking on the streets of Fulong City, Xiao Renlong's 14th feeling is that the monks in Fulong City seem to have raised their strength to a higher level. Now walking on the road, every few hundred meters, you can meet a monk at the spiritual sea level, and there are even many strong people at the innate level. When did the background of Fulong City reach this level? Moreover, Xiao Renlong seldom sees patrolling soldiers on the streets, and every monk seems to be very friendly to each other. Fulong City, where dozens of conflicts once occurred a day, is basically invisible now, and they are all in harmony. To Xiao Renlong's feeling, I really can't think of any adjectives, the only appropriate word is unity. It was less than half an hour since he came to Fulong City, and he heard the words Su Chengju no less than 10 times. It seems that this new city owner is surnamed Su. Moreover, the prestige in Fulong City is very high, and it has reached this level in just a few years since he took office. Who is this Lord Su Cheng? He didn't think much about it, and came to Xiao's mansion with ease. After all, the Xiao family is a family of generals, and it is considered a famous family in Fulong City. It is located in the golden area of Fulong City, and 10 mansions occupy an area of several acres. Standing in front of the gate, Xiao Renlong sighed heavily as he looked at the door plaque that was covered with dust. Thinking back to the past, when my father was in full swing, the front of the Xiao family was full of people, and dignitaries came to visit every day. But now, it has become this deserted appearance. Although I have repeatedly made military exploits on the battlefield and made countless contributions, it is still difficult to change the situation that the royal family has given up on the Xiao family. Push open the gate and walk to yard circa only to find that the entire yard was empty and even overgrown with weeds. Seeing this scene, Xiao Renlong froze in place for several seconds. Why is it different from what is said in the letter? The royal family's promise to themselves is to take good care of their loved ones. Is that how they take care of them? At this time, Xiao Renlong's face darkened suddenly, and his fists were clenched unconsciously. Next second, the door of the wing room in front was pushed open, and a few maid servants he had never seen before walked out. Judging by the clothes they were wearing, they should be from the city lord's mansion. After seeing Xiao Renlong, several maid servants bowed slightly towards Xiao Renlong and left. Immediately, several golden armored soldiers patrolled to the yard king. Seeing these gold-armored soldiers, Xiao Renlong's pupils froze, and he recognized them. They were also from the city lord's mansion. With a burst of breath, he rolled towards several golden-armored soldiers. At this moment, the legs of several golden-armored soldiers softened instantly, and they almost fell to their knees on the ground. Are you guarding captivity? Where are my father and my aunt? Xiao Renlong asked angrily. Because the original guards and maid servants of the Xiao family are all gone, and they are all from the city lord's mansion. According to his guess, the city lord's mansion should also belong to the royal family, So isn't it equivalent to the royal family imprisoning his family in disguise? Next second, the door was pushed open, and a woman in a plain dress with a delicate face came out gracefully. Seeing this, he immediately scolded, "Xiaolong, stop." Hearing the familiar voice, Xiao Renlong immediately put away his coercion. After seeing that his aunt was fine, he hurriedly asked, "Aunt, you and father?" "We're fine. They are all here to patrol and protect our safety." "You didn't say anything in advance when you came back?" the delicate woman said aloud. Hearing this, Xiao Renlong was a little confused, and continued to ask, "Then what about our own guards and maids? Being taken away by the royal family, it should be dismissed." The words fell. Xiao Renlong was a little confused. Could it be that the city lord's mansion and the royal family are not in the same camp? Immediately, the delicate woman turned to those soldiers in golden armor and said, "I'm sorry, this is my nephew." The words fell. Not only were the several gold-armored guards not angry, they just clasped their fists slightly and left. Well-trained and extremely high quality, this is the current style of the city lord's mansion, and because of this style, the city lord Fa is also deeply loved and supported by the monks of Fulong City. "Come in and talk." Just like that, Xiao Renlong entered the wing room. "Then I saw my father lying on a rattan chair and basking in the sun on the balcony of the cubicle." Xiao Renlong walked up to his father without speaking. Came back. Lying on the rattan chair was a man with gray hair but a tough body, but his complexion was much better. "Father, your body." Seeing the changes in his father's body, Xiao Renlong was also very shocked. He is very aware of his father's injuries, but he hasn't had any injuries on his father now. The breath has recovered to 10.5. It's almost better. It is estimated that after a few more years, I will be able to fight with you. Although the old man has been away from the battlefield for a long time, he is still full of memories inside and outside the words, missing his brothers. "My body, a few years ago, that Lord Su Cheng came to treat me personally. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to see me either." Hearing this sentence, Xiao Renlong's face was startled, and he asked, "Master Su Cheng, why did you treat you?" "Shouldn't this be asking you?" the old man said with a strange expression. Xiao Renlong recalled, he had never met such a powerful friend. How can Xiao Renlong and he recognize such a strong man who can kill the former city lord and become the new city lord? "I do not recognize," Xiao Renlong replied. Heard the words. The old man was silent for a while and said, "Whether you know him or not, it doesn't matter now. But you have to remember that from now on, Lord Su Cheng will be the benefactor of our Xiao family." Hear this sentence. Xiao Renlong was startled, and asked, "What happened to our Xiao family in the past few years when I was away? Why the rest of the people except you and aunt?" The words fell. The old man turned his head and looked at Xiao Renlong, his expression became extremely serious. "Every word I say next, you must take it to heart." Hear this sentence. Xiao Renlong's expression also became serious. "I don't care about your current status as a general in Dagon. Whether you want to be loyal to the royal family or not, I don't care about you, but from now on, you must support the city lord of Tron City." The old general lowered his voice, and said to Xiao Renlong word by word. "This is why." Xiao Renlong really didn't believe his father could say such a thing. "Because, you must know that my father has assisted the royal family for most of his life. No matter what kind of war, big or small, he always took the lead, otherwise it would not be possible to be injured so badly." Now, from his father's words, it can be heard that his heart has drifted away from the royal family. Longer, you have to remember. Any family of generals cannot escape the fate of extinction in the end. Our Xiao family has come to an end, it doesn't matter if I die. But you and your sister-in-law still have a great time, and you both have a bright future, so you can't become the royal family's discarded pawns in vain. Do you understand? The old general asked Xiao Renlong. In fact, Xiao Renlong knew it very well in his heart, but he was surprised to hear these words from his father. Clear. Xiao Renlong nodded. The 5 generations of the Xiao family have served as generals, and the kindness of nurturing Daqin has been repaid by your father and my generation. Our Xiao family has no shame towards heaven. It's just that I didn't expect that after killing most of my life, I still couldn't keep you, your sister, and your sister-in-law. The old general sighed heavily. Speaking of sister, Xiao Renlong also felt a burst of sadness in his heart. If Elder Su hadn't reminded him, he might not even see his sister for the last time. If it weren't for this new city lord of Fulong City, maybe your sister-in-law and I would have already entered the prison. There are also the resources you consume on the front line, and the resources transported from Fulong City. In fact, most of them are provided by the city lord's mansion. Our Xiao family property is already empty, the old general said quietly. In his words, there is also incomparable grief and anger. He spent most of his life fighting for Dagon. Not only did he fail to save any family property for the younger generation, but he almost faced bankruptcy. Hearing this, Xiao Renlong's pupils trembled, and he clenched his fist unconsciously. If there is no new city lord, then my sister-in-law and father would have already entered the prison, and I can only become a pawn under control, not only can't do anything, but can only be at the mercy of others. Father, I will pay a visit to the new city lord. Such a kindness, I will never forget it for the rest of my life. Xiao Renlong said word by word. In the future, you must remember that if the front line falls, I don't ask for anything else. You don't have to fight, just survive. Then go back to Fulong City, and you will follow the new city lord from now on. Remember, this is my request to you, you must come back alive. The old general stared at Xiao Renlong and said. Hearing this, Xiao Renlong was stunned for a while, then nodded. Father, let me find a safe place for you and sister-in-law. I will remember what you said, and I will follow the new city lord in the future. Xiao Renlong thought of something and said. No, there is no safer place than Dragon City in the entire Daqin. Said the old general. Why did father say that? Xiao Renlong knew that although the new city lord was very strong, he should still have no resistance against the entire royal family. The old general was silent for a long time. Actually, he didn't know why he felt that way. Maybe it's an intuition. It may also be that he has clearly felt the development and changes of Fulong City in the past few years. Since the new city lord took office, he likes the atmosphere of Fulong City very much. Even if Dayu didn't let Fulongcheng go in the end, he died in Fulongcheng, which is considered his destination. You don't have to worry about my affairs. You can think about your own business. As he spoke, the old general paused for a moment, and continued, you must be running out of frontline resources when you come back this time. Kindness. All Xiao Renlong's thoughts, of course, cannot be hidden from his father. Then I remembered what my father said just now, and said, I will handle this myself. In this way, the father and son chatted for an hour. Because now Dagon is on the verge of falling, and when we part and meet again, we don't know whether it is life or death. Xiao Renlong pushed his father on the cotton, walked out of the wing, and was about to open the door. A middle-aged man in willow armor walked in. See. The old general cupped his fists at the middle-aged man and said, Commander Hu. This middle-aged man is exactly Hu Donglai, who is now the commander of Fulong City. Now that Su Han is not here, he is helping to handle all the big and small affairs of the city lord. The old general's face is full of red today, it turns out. It is the famous little General Xiao who has returned. Hu Donglai said with a smile. Before Master Su left, he also told him to take care of the Xiao family. Because the adults said that even if the royal family wants to move the Xiao family, they must stop it. Therefore, Hu Donglai has been helping the Xiao family all these years. For the sake of the Xiao family, he even directly drove all the monks who had been placed in the Xiao family in the imperial city out of the city. Not only that, he will also send a group of people to patrol and protect the Xiao family mansion, just to prevent the royal family from killing people. Because in Hu Donglai's heart, Master Su is the only person he is loyal to pursue. Not only Hu Donglai, but also the monks in the city lord's mansion and Fulong City all have this idea. In the hearts of monks in Fulong City, Su Han has already far surpassed the royal family. Commander Hu, he has long admired his name. Xiao Renlong also clasped his fists in response. Thank you, Commander. You don't need to thank me, I am also following orders. These are all arranged by adults, Hu Donglai said. At this time, he took out a space ring from his cuff and threw it to Xiao Renlong. Xiao Renlong, who took the space ring, asked with a puzzled look. This is. Here are resources, including weapons, armor, pills, talismans, etc. Hearing this, after Xiao Renlong checked the resources in the space ring, his eyes widened, and he subconsciously refused. This is too much. Little General Xiao hasn't returned to Fulong City for a few years. Have you forgotten the background of Fulong City? You should accept these resources. If I'm not mistaken, countless soldiers and brothers of yours are still waiting for you to bring back the healing elixir to save their lives. With the background of Fulong City, these huge resources are nothing more than a few days of running water in Fulong City. Moreover, after Mr. Su took office, Fu Longchang not only was not affected by the war, but also developed better and better. Today, Fulong City has a tendency to surpass the imperial city and become the #1 city in Daqin. Hearing this, after Xiao Renlong accepted it, he clasped his fists at Hu Donglai and said, Excuse me, is the city lord in the city lord's mansion now? It's such a big favor, I want to pay a visit to thank you. Your Excellency has been away for a long time. My lord said, You don't need to thank little General Shao for anything, just let you go your own way. Hu Donglai said with a smile. Although, Su Han is a ruthless investment machine, but sometimes he also meets some people he admires. For example, this Xiao Renlong, even though he met him for the first time, he was unhappy. But later, he discovered that this child was a good seed worth looking forward to and worthy of his help. Therefore, when he left Fulong City, he also specifically told Hu Donglai to take care of the Xiao family. Su Han always inadvertently changes the fate of some people and pulls some people out of the darkness. Although his original intention is to invest, he has also changed a lot invisibly. This day, Xiao Renlong left Fulong City. Before he returned to the front line, he went to the illusory cloud sect. After entering the illusory cloud sect again, Xiao Renlong felt a lot of emotion in his heart. He didn't stay in the illusory cloud sect for a few years, it was very short. His greatest concern for the illusory cloud sect is Su Changeling. After returning to the illusory cloud school again, Xiao Renlong obviously felt that the illusory cloud school was much deserted. It may also be because of the impact of the war. Many disciples are unwilling to sit and wait in the illusory cloud sect, some join the battlefield, and some go out to practice, all for the purpose of quickly becoming stronger. Xiao Renlong came to the Sutra Pavilion and found that the door of the Sutra Pavilion was closed. This made him feel very strange. You know, the Sutra Pavilion used to be the busiest place in the entire illusory cloud sect, but now it is still daytime. Why is the door closed? At this time, a bad premonition emerged in his heart. He walked to the Sutra Pavilion and pushed open the door of the Sutra Pavilion. After walking in, the entire Buddhist scriptures pavilion was empty. The environment is the same as before, nothing has changed, but everything seems to have changed, because Elder Su is no longer here. He walked slowly in the Sutra Pavilion, walked to a position, and then sat down. He has been fighting on the front line for so many years, and his mood is no longer that of the dandy boy he used to be. Outside, he is an iron-blooded general, and only when he comes back here can he feel the yin-anya and childishness of the past. After sitting for a while, Xiao Renlong stood up, and his eyes also changed, becoming extremely sharp and serious. He went straight to the striker. Soon, he stepped into the main hall of the main front, startling the great elder Zhao Chonghe, who was closing his eyes and resting his mind. After seeing that the person who came was Xiao Renlong, he immediately beamed with joy. Who am I? It turned out to be nephew Xiao. Over the years, he has heard a lot about Xiao Renlong's deeds, and he is the youngest, most potential, and most brilliant general. Moreover, he still walked out from the illusory cloud sect, and he himself felt that he had a lot of face. The words fell. He saw Xiao Renlong's serious expression. Immediately, he changed his tone and said, I don't know why General Xiao came to find this old man. Now Xiao Renlong's power is no longer something he, the great elder, can contend with. Where did Elder Su go? Xiao Renlong asked straight to the point. Because he had known for a long time that the great elder had a feud with Elder Su, and now that Elder Su was no longer in the Sutra Pavilion, he immediately thought that it must be what the great elder had done to Elder Su. Elder Su is indifferent, and regards the Sutra Pavilion as a place for the elderly, and it is certainly impossible to leave the Sutra Pavilion easily. Hearing this, the great elder was extremely surprised. When did Xiao Renlong have such a good relationship with Su Han? Now, Su Han has been to Taiyi Holy Land for several years, and I don't know what happened to him. Elder Su is just going out for a trip. Entering the Taiyi Holy Land for further study is a confidential matter, and he must not let it out easily. Heard the words. Xiao Renlong stared at Zhao Chonghe said, Grand Elder, I, Xiao, am not an ungrateful person who betrays the righteousness of the sect. No matter when, wherever, I will call you Great Elder. However, if you are against Elder Su, oppress him, and suppress him, I will also deny you as a Great Elder. I always stand behind Elder Su. The old man just wants to take care of the elderly and seek a safe place. I hope the elder will not embarrass him in the future. Xiao Renlong knew that Zhao Chonghe would not lie to himself. However, he still had to speak out, because he didn't know if he would die on the front line. Although he promised his father he would come back alive. However, the battlefield is changing rapidly, and no one can guarantee absolute safety of life. The brothers who were born and died with him are all still waiting for him on the front line, so he has to take responsibility. Therefore, he had to find a guarantee for Elder Su. Elder Su should be back soon. In fact, today's Zhao Chonghe no longer has the intention to trouble Su Han. The past festivals and grievances disappeared from the moment he entered the Taiyi Holy Land for further study. Scattered. Because, he himself is getting old, and there is no need to pursue all the past. Now, Daqin is in jeopardy, and he himself doesn't know how to preserve Wanyunzong. The boss doesn't know where he went. The entire illusory cloud sect is supported by him alone. I am a disciple of the illusory cloud sect. If that day really comes to Dagon, if I'm still alive, I'll stand in front of Wanjing. After finishing speaking, Xiao Renlong turned and left. Seeing the back of Xiao Renlong leaving, Zhao Chonghe froze in place for a long time. He sat down slowly and sighed heavily. He is very confused about the future. In fact, he is not afraid of death. He is very old, and he will die if he dies. He just didn't want to see that the illusory cloud sect, which he had been with for most of his life, would go to perish. He could only smile wryly when he recalled the festival with Su Han. He used to treat Su Han so badly, and in the end, he still expected his disciples to protect the illusory cloud sect from the wind and rain. Because, since Su Han left, many disciples will come to him to ask where Su Han has gone and whether he will come back. They all expressed their stance like Xiao Renlong. They were willing to stand in front of Huan Yunzong with their lives for the sake of Elder Su. In fact, under such a precarious situation, many disciples of other sects would not sacrifice their lives for the sect, and even left the sect one after another to save their lives. However, his illusory cloud sect seems to be different. Numerous disciples have stated that they will regard death as home for the sake of Huan Yunzong. For the first time, he felt that the illusory cloud sect, which he had been with for most of his life, was so unfamiliar and yet so gratifying to him. He also knew that these disciples were not for himself, nor for Huan Yunzong, just for that person, Su Han. The current Zhao Chonghe is actually very afraid that Su Han will not come back, and he will no longer recognize this illusory cloud sect. Because I used to treat him badly and made things difficult everywhere. If he knew this day, he would have been nicer to Su Han, nicer. He sat and thought for a long time. Perhaps, Su Han's not coming back is also a salute. He will have a better development in Taiyi Holy Land, and there is no need to come back and destroy Lu with the illusory cloud sect. If it really came to the day when Dagon and Wanyanzong were destroyed, he would dismiss all the disciples and elders of Wanyanzong. Because, he only needs to know their intentions is enough. No need to die for the illusory cloud sect. At this moment, Zhao Chonghe looked out the door, as if he had aged a lot.